and languages, linking them through governance and trade. The Akkadian Empire introduced the concept of centralized administration, a model that would inspire future empires. From the Akkadian period onward, the idea of empire began to take shape as an institution, one that could extend across geographical and cultural boundaries, creating lasting legacies. As time passed, other powerful civilizations arose, each contributing to humanity's collective heritage. The Egyptians built a sophisticated society along the Nile, achieving marvels of engineering in the form of pyramids, temples, and monuments. The pharaohs ruled with authority thought to be divinely ordained, blending religion and governance in ways that would influence future empires. Further east, the Assyrians crafted an empire rooted in military prowess and strategic innovation, transforming warfare and governance to control vast territories. Their methods, though often brutal, exemplified the power and reach of a unified state, one that could mobilize resources, enforce order, and foster economic prosperity across diverse regions. Meanwhile, in the fertile lands of Persia, Cyrus the Great laid the foundation for one of history's most inclusive empires. The Persian Empire, with its policies of tolerance and respect for local cultures, demonstrated an alternative path to power, one that valued unity and cooperation over dominance. This approach enabled Persia to maintain a diverse and multi-ethnic empire, linking the Mediterranean world to the Indian subcontinent. The Persians' innovations in administration, infrastructure, and diplomacy would set standards for governance that would echo across centuries. Across the Mediterranean, the Greek city-states rose, each with its unique form of governance, culture, and values. Though initially they would unite under Alexander the Great, whose conquered to the far reaches of Asia, creating a blend of traditions that enriched the world. The Greeks introduced democracy, philosophy, and scientific inquiry, laying intellectual foundations that would inspire countless generations. Their influence reached Rome, where a small city on the banks of the Tiber River would grow into a monumental empire, one that would reshape Europe and lay the groundwork for Western civilization. The Romans, drawing from Greek ideals and innovating upon them, forged an empire that stretched from the British Isles to the deserts of North Africa, a testament to military might, administrative skill, and cultural integration. Roman law, engineering, and governance became hallmarks of civilization, and the Romans' impact on art, language, and politics would shape societies long after the fall of their empire. With the decline of Rome, the Eastern Roman, or Byzantine Empire, preserved and enriched Roman and Greek legacies, serving as a bridge between ancient and medieval worlds. Farther east, the Han Dynasty in China fostered a golden age of culture, science, and trade. By opening routes that would become the Silk Road, they connected East Asia with the West, facilitating an unprecedented exchange of ideas, goods, and cultural traditions. The Han Dynasty's contributions to governance, philosophy, and technology solidified China's influence, creating cultural foundations that would endure for millennia. In the wake of these ancient empires, new forces arose. The Islamic caliphates, guided by religious principles and intellectual curiosity, ushered in a golden age of learning and cultural synthesis. Centers of knowledge, such as Baghdad's House of Wisdom, became gathering places for scholars who translated and expanded upon works from Greece, Persia, and India, laying the groundwork for advances in mathematics, astronomy, and medicine. This spirit of discovery and openness helped bridge cultures, fostering an age of exploration and intellectual achievement that would impact both the Islamic world and Europe. As history moved forward, empires continued to rise, each one adding to humanity's shared story. The Mongols, under Genghis Khan, forged the largest contiguous land empire in history, uniting nomadic tribes and establishing an era of trade, cultural exchange, and peace, known as the Pax Mongolica. Their influence spanned continents, connecting civilizations from China to Europe and transforming the world in the process. The rise and fall of these empires illustrate the cyclical nature of human civilization. While each empire was unique, many faced common challenges: overextension, economic strain, internal strife, and external pressures. Despite their eventual declines, these empires left enduring legacies: technological innovations, architectural marvels, insights, and systems of governance that shaped the world. Empires journey through some of the most pivotal moments in history, where humanity's ambition, resilience, and creativity took shape. Of these empires are not merely tales of conquest and power, but are also narratives of cultural synthesis, technological progress, and shared human achievements. In understanding the rise and fall of these great civilizations, we gain insight into the forces that continue to shape our world and the enduring legacy of those who came before us. Chapter 1: The Akkadian Empire, the world's first empire. The Akkadian Empire, established around 2334 BCE by the legendary Sargon of Akkad, is recognized as the world's first empire. Its rise marked a monumental shift in human history, as it unified various Sumerian city-states under one centralized rule in ancient Mesopotamia, the fertile region between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. The Akkadian Empire transformed governance, military organization, and cultural exchange, creating a foundation upon which future empires would build. Before Sargon, the region was a mosaic of independent city-states like Ur, Uruk, and Lagash, each with its own ruler, language, religious practices, and customs. These city-states frequently engaged in conflict over resources, territory, and influence. Sargon, a former cupbearer to the king of Kish, rose to power through his military acumen and strategic alliances. He united the warring city-states, creating an empire that stretched from the Persian Gulf in the south to the Mediterranean Sea in the northwest, a vast territory encompassing numerous cultures and peoples. The rise of Sargon and the creation of Akkad. Sargon's journey from humble beginnings to empire-building legend is an enduring tale of ambition and strategy. Born to a lowly family, Sargon's rise began when he led a successful rebellion against the king of Kish. He then set his sights on uniting the cities of Sumer under his rule, beginning with a campaign against the powerful city-state of Uruk. By conquering Uruk, Sargon gained control over critical trade routes and resources, which he used to fund his expanding military campaigns. His success in uniting the Sumerian city-states marked the dawn of a new political structure, as Sargon's centralized rule brought stability to a region long plagued by strife. To establish his authority, Sargon founded a new capital city, Akkad. Located strategically to oversee his growing territories, Akkad became a center of governance, trade, and cultural exchange. The city's location allowed it to control the flow of goods from distant lands, turning Akkad into a bustling economic hub. Sargon appointed loyal officials, known as Ensi, to govern the various regions within his empire, delegating local administration while maintaining central oversight. This system of regional governance allowed the Akkadian Empire to maintain control over distant territories, a practice that would become a hallmark of future empires. Sargon's military strategy was as innovative as it was effective. The Akkadian army, equipped with advanced weaponry and trained in organized combat formations, was one of the first standing armies in history. Sargon introduced new tactics, including the use of composite bows and bronze weapons, which gave his forces a decisive advantage over rivals. With his army, Sargon expanded the empire's borders, bringing under his rule a variety of cultures, from the mountainous regions of Elam to the trading cities along the Mediterranean coast. This expansion allowed Akkad to dominate trade routes, facilitating the movement of goods such as timber, metals, and luxury items from distant lands. Governance and bureaucratic innovations. Sargon's establishment of a centralized administration was a groundbreaking development. He understood that military conquest alone would not be enough to maintain control over such a vast empire. Governance required stability, organization, and cooperation with local populations. To achieve this, Sargon appointed regional governors to provinces and collect taxes, creating one of the earliest known bureaucratic systems. These officials, often chosen from among the local elite or Akkadian loyalists, were responsible for upholding Akkadian laws, collecting tributes, and the smooth functioning of trade and agriculture. The Akkadian democratic system also laws and administrative practices across its territories, enabling more cohesive to further unify his empire. Sargon promoted the Akkadian language as the official language of administration. This effort helped consolidate Akkadian culture and made it easier to communicate directives across the empire, particularly in regions where languages were spoken. The promotion of Akkadian as a lingua franca set a precedent for later empires, which would also seek to unify diverse populations through language and administrative consistency. Cultural exchange and influence. The Akkadian Empire was not only a military and political powerhouse, but also a melting pot of cultures. The empire's vast expanse included various ethnic groups and religious practices, creating an environment ripe for cultural exchange. Sargon's empire brought together the advanced traditions of Sumer with those of literature and religion. Temples dedicated to gods such as Enlil, Inanna, and Ishtar became central to Akkadian worship, reflecting the influence of Sumerian religious practices on Akkadian culture. Art flourished under the Akkadian Empire, and producing intricate sculptures, pottery, and carvings that depicted gods, mythological creatures, and royal achievements. One of the most famous artifacts from this period is the Stele of Naram Sin, a stone relief commemorating a military victory of Sargon's grandson, Naram Sin. This stele, which portrays Naram Sin as a god-king ascending a mountain, exemplifies the Akkadian belief in the divine right of kings and the empire's artistic sophistication. The stele is a testament to the Akkadian Empire's cultural influence, capturing the blend of religious, political, and artistic ideals that defined the period. Challenges and the decline of the Akkadian Empire. Despite its remarkable achievements, the Akkadian Empire was not immune to the forces of decline. Sargon's successors, including his sons and grandson Naram Sin, continued his expansionist policies, but they faced increasing resistance from conquered territories and external threats. The empire's reliance on a centralized administration made it vulnerable to disruptions in communication and resource, particularly in times of crisis. Environmental challenges played a significant role in the empire's downfall. Archaeological evidence suggests that a severe drought affected Mesopotamia around 2200 BCE, leading to crop failures and widespread famine. This environmental crisis weakened the Akkadian economy, as agricultural productivity declined and food scarcity led to unrest among the population. The drought also disrupted trade networks, further straining the empire's resources. In addition to environmental hardships, the Akkadian Empire faced invasions from neighboring regions. The Gutians, a group of semi-nomadic people from the Zagros Mountains, took advantage of the empire's weakened state and launched raids into Akkadian territory. Their incursions destabilized the empire, and by 2154 BCE, the Akkadian Empire had collapsed under the combined weight of internal strife, environmental disaster, and external pressure. Legacy of the Akkadian Empire. The Akkadian Empire's legacy extends far beyond its brief century of dominance. Sargon's model of centralized governance and regional administration influenced subsequent Mesopotamian civilizations, including the Babylonians and Assyrians, who adopted similar strategies to maintain control over large territories. The Akkadian Empire's emphasis on trade, cultural exchange, and linguistic unity set precedents that later empires would build upon, shaping the development of complex societies in the ancient world. The Akkadian language continued to be used as a diplomatic and administrative language in Mesopotamia for centuries, preserving the empire's cultural influence even after its fall. Sargon's story became legendary, inspiring later rulers who sought to emulate his achievements. His rise from humble beginnings to establish the world's first empire became a powerful narrative of ambition, resilience, and the transformative power of leadership. The Akkadian Empire's story is a reminder of the dynamic forces that shape human civilization: innovation, cultural exchange, and the challenges posed by nature and human conflict. Though the Akkadian Empire ultimately fell, its legacy endures as a testament to humanity's enduring quest to build, govern, and connect. The world's first empire laid the foundation for the age of empires that would follow, each one inheriting and expanding upon the ideas that Sargon and his successors introduced to the ancient world. Chapter 2. The Egyptian Empire, Kingdom along the Nile. The Egyptian Empire, stretching along the banks of is one of the most in history. Known for its monumental architecture, sophisticated culture, and complex religious beliefs, Egypt flourished for nearly 3,000 years. The stability and prosperity of ancient Egypt were rooted in the Nile's predictable flooding, which provided fertile soil for agriculture, enabling Egypt to support a growing population and powerful. By a series of powerful pharaohs, Egyptian society was marked by remarkable achievements in engineering, art, science, and religion, creating a legacy that continues to captivate and influence the modern world. The foundations of Egyptian civilization. The Nile River was the lifeblood of ancient Egypt. Its annual floods deposited nutrient-rich silt on the surrounding land, allowing the Egyptians to cultivate wheat, barley, and flax in abundance. This agricultural surplus formed the foundation of Egypt's economy and supported its population, leading to the establishment of some of the world's earliest cities and one of history's first centralized governments. The Egyptians viewed the Nile as a divine gift, a symbol of life, fertility, and abundance, and this reverence for the river was deeply woven into their religious beliefs and practices. Egyptian society was structured around the concept of Ma'at, a principle of cosmic order, truth, and harmony. Ma'at was central to Egyptian culture and governance, guiding the actions of rulers, citizens, and priests alike. The pharaoh, who was believed to be a living god, was considered the protector of Ma'at. As both king and deity, the pharaoh held absolute authority, responsible for maintaining harmony between the gods and the people. This divine kingship imbued the pharaoh with power, but also imposed the duty of ensuring prosperity, stability, and justice throughout the land. Egypt's history is divided into several dynastic periods, each marked by unique achievements and challenges. These include the Old Kingdom, the Middle Kingdom, and the New Kingdom, each of which contributed distinctively to Egyptian civilization and the development of one of history's most influential empires. The Old Kingdom. Era of monumental architecture. The Old Kingdom, c. 2686 to 181 BCE, is often called the Age of the Pyramids, due to its architectural achievements, most notably the pyramids at Giza. During this period, pharaohs like Djoser, Khufu, and Khafre commissioned monumental structures that symbolized their divine authority and the Egyptians' devotion to the afterlife. The pyramids, particularly the Great Pyramid of Khufu, are marvels of ancient engineering, reflecting the Egyptians' understanding of mathematics, astronomy, and construction techniques. The construction of the pyramids required a massive, organized labor force and an efficient system of resource management. Contrary to popular belief, the workers who built the pyramids were not enslaved, but were likely paid laborers, organized into highly disciplined teams. These workers were provided with food, housing, and medical care, highlighting the sophisticated level of organization within the Egyptian state. The pyramids served as tombs for the pharaohs, who believed that the monumental structures would help secure their place in the afterlife and bring prosperity to the land they ruled. The Old Kingdom's achievements extended beyond architecture. During this period, Egyptian art and culture flourished, with the development of a distinct artistic style characterized by a focus on symmetry, balance, and symbolism. Egyptian artists created statues, reliefs, and wall paintings that depicted gods, pharaohs, and scenes of everyday life, all adhering to strict conventions that emphasized order and harmony. These artistic achievements were closely tied to religion, as they were intended to honor the gods and ensure a peaceful transition to the afterlife. Despite its prosperity, the Old Kingdom eventually declined due to internal struggles, economic difficulties, and environmental factors. A series of weak pharaohs led to political fragmentation, as powerful local governors, known as nomarchs, challenged the authority of the central government. The Old Kingdom's collapse marked the beginning of a period of turmoil known as the First Intermediate Period. But the principles of Egyptian culture remained intact, setting the stage for a resurgence in the Middle Kingdom. The Middle Kingdom, a cultural and economic revival. The Middle Kingdom, c. 2005 to 1650 BCE, is often regarded as a golden age of stability, creativity, and expansion in Egyptian history. After a period of decentralization, Egypt was reunified under powerful pharaohs, beginning with Mentuhotep II. The Middle Kingdom saw a renewed emphasis on governance, infrastructure, and economic prosperity. Pharaohs of the Middle Kingdom expanded agricultural projects, improved irrigation systems, and established trade routes with neighboring regions, including Nubia, the Levant, and the Aegean. During this era, Egyptian literature and art experienced a renaissance. Works such as the Tale of Sinuhe and The Eloquent Peasant reflect the Egyptian worldview, blending themes of morality, loyalty, and the pursuit of harmony. Middle Kingdom art became more expressive, with realistic portrayals of individuals, including depictions of older, weary faces that conveyed a more nuanced view of humanity. The Middle Kingdom also saw advancements in architecture. While the pyramids were smaller than those of the Old Kingdom, temples and mortuary complexes became more elaborate. The pharaohs constructed temples to honor the gods and promote their divine legitimacy, with the deity Amun-Ra rising to prominence as the chief god of the Egyptian pantheon. The influence of Amun-Ra and his priesthood would grow over time, becoming a powerful force in Egyptian politics and religion. However, the Middle Kingdom eventually weakened, partly due to challenges from foreign groups like the Hyksos, who introduced new military technologies, including the horse-drawn chariot. The Hyksos' presence in the Nile Delta region marked the beginning of the Second Intermediate Period, a time of division and foreign influence. Yet Egypt's identity and culture remained resilient, and it was during this period that the foundations for the New Kingdom, Egypt's most powerful era, were laid. The New Kingdom. Egypt's empire reaches its zenith. The New Kingdom, c. 1550 to 1070 BCE, represents the height of Egyptian power and wealth. During this era, pharaohs like Thutmose III, Hatshepsut, Akhenaten, and Ramses II expanded Egypt's borders through military campaigns, diplomacy, and trade, transforming Egypt into an imperial power. The New Kingdom saw Egypt's influence extend across Nubia, the Levant, and as far as the Euphrates River. Hatshepsut, one of Egypt's few female pharaohs, is celebrated for her successful reign and ambitious building projects. She commissioned the magnificent mortuary temple at Deir el-Bahri, a masterpiece of ancient architecture, and promoted extensive trade expeditions, notably to the land of Punt. Her reign brought prosperity to Egypt and strengthened the nation's economy, although her successors later attempted to erase her legacy, reflecting the complexities of Egyptian politics. Thutmose III, known as the Napoleon of Egypt, expanded the empire through military conquests, securing Egypt's dominance in the Near East. His campaigns brought wealth and tribute from conquered territories, further enhancing Egypt's power and influence. Thutmose III's military prowess and strategic acumen made him one of Egypt's greatest warrior pharaohs, and his victories were commemorated in inscriptions across Egypt. Akhenaten, however, pursued a different path, attempting a radical religious reform by promoting the worship of Aten, the sun disk, as the sole deity. This shift toward monotheism disrupted traditional religious practices and weakened the powerful priesthood of Amun. Akhenaten's reign marked a brief but significant departure from Egyptian tradition, with his new capital, Akhetaten, modern-day Amarna, serving as a center for his unique artistic and cultural vision. After Akhenaten's death, his reforms were largely abandoned, and the traditional pantheon was restored. Perhaps the most renowned ruler of the New Kingdom was Ramses II, known as Ramses the Great. His long reign was marked by extensive building projects, including the temples of Abu Simbel and the Ramesseum. Ramses II sought to immortalize his legacy through colossal statues and grand temples, symbolizing his power and divine status. He is also known for the Battle of Kadesh against the Hittites, one of the earliest recorded military engagements in history, which ended in a peace treaty, a diplomatic accomplishment that underscored Egypt's influence and stability. Decline of the Egyptian Empire. Despite its achievements, the new kingdom began to weaken in the 12th century BCE. A series of factors contributed to its decline, including internal power struggles, economic troubles, and the growing influence of the priesthood of Amun. Additionally, Egypt faced external threats from the Sea Peoples and neighboring states, which further destabilized the empire. By the end of the New Kingdom, Egypt had fragmented into smaller states, marking the beginning of a period of decline known as the Third Intermediate Period. Foreign powers, including the Assyrians, Persians, and later Alexander the Great, would conquer Egypt, integrating it into their respective empires. Despite these changes, Egyptian culture, religion, and art continued to thrive, influencing the Mediterranean world and beyond. The Egyptian empire's legacy endures through its monumental architecture, profound religious beliefs, and cultural achievements, which have captivated and inspired civilizations for millennia. Chapter 3. The Assyrian Empire. Masters of Warfare and Innovation. The Assyrian Empire, one of history's most formidable ancient empires, rose to prominence in the heart of Mesopotamia. Known for its military strength, architectural achievements, and efficient administration, the Assyrian Empire reached its height between the 10th and 7th centuries BCE, dominating much of the Near East and beyond. With its origins in northern Mesopotamia, in cities like Ashur and Nineveh, the Assyrian Empire distinguished itself through advanced military tactics, innovative governance, and a culture that celebrated power and resilience. However, its success was not without a cost. The Assyrians' reliance on brutal tactics left a legacy of fear and resentment among its neighbors, ultimately contributing to the empire's eventual fall. The rise of the Assyrian Empire and early foundations. The early roots of Assyrian civilization can be traced back to the city of Ashur, which became a center of trade and culture along the Tigris River. Over time, the Assyrians developed a highly organized society centered around agriculture, trade, and worship of the god Ashur, for whom the city was named. Assyrian kings took on the role of both military leaders and spiritual representatives, entrusted with protecting the state and expanding its boundaries. Early Assyrian rulers focused on securing their immediate territory, but by the 14th century BCE, the Assyrians began to extend their influence through strategic alliances and military campaigns. The Assyrian Empire truly began to expand during the Neo-Assyrian period, c. 911–609 BCE, marked by a succession of powerful kings who transformed Assyria from a regional power into a vast empire. Kings like Ashur-nasir-pal-sekun and Tiglath-Pileser III restructured the military and administrative systems, allowing for rapid expansion and efficient control over conquered lands. This period saw the emergence of a professional standing army, a hallmark of the Assyrian Empire, which included specialized units like archers, charioteers, and siege engineers. This highly trained and disciplined force enabled the Assyrians to conquer neighboring regions with unprecedented speed and effectiveness. Military innovations and brutal tactics. The Assyrians' military success was rooted in both their advanced technology and their strategic innovations. Assyrian armies were among the first to employ iron weapons, which were stronger and more durable than the bronze tools used by their enemies. The Assyrians also introduced sophisticated siege techniques, including battering rams, siege towers, and tunneling, which allowed them to breach the fortified walls of enemy cities. This expertise in siege warfare made the Assyrians nearly unstoppable, as they could overcome even the most well-defended cities and fortresses. The Assyrians were also known for their psychological warfare, using tactics designed to instill fear and prevent rebellion. Assyrian kings, such as Sennacherib and Shalmaneser III, employed public displays of brutality, including the deportation of conquered populations, public executions, and mutilations of rebels. These acts were often recorded in stone reliefs and inscriptions, serving as both propaganda and warnings to those who might consider resisting Assyrian rule. For example, inscriptions detail how the Assyrians would hang the heads of defeated kings outside city gates. A gruesome display meant to deter other potential challengers. The Assyrians also introduced the practice of mass deportations, forcibly relocating conquered peoples to prevent uprisings and to repopulate Assyrian territories. These deportations served multiple purposes. They weakened rebellious regions, repopulated Assyrian cities, and provided a workforce for the empire's extensive construction projects. The practice of forced relocation helped the Assyrians maintain control over a diverse empire by preventing local populations from organizing resistance. Governance and administrative structure. The Assyrian Empire's administrative system was both complex and efficient, allowing it to govern a vast territory that stretched from Egypt in the west to the Persian Gulf in the east. The empire was divided into provinces, each governed by an appointed official or governor who reported directly to the king. These governors were responsible for collecting taxes, maintaining law and order, and overseeing local affairs. To ensure loyalty, governors were often chosen from the Assyrian elite or from among loyal allies, and they were closely monitored by royal officials who acted as inspectors. The Assyrian kings established a network of roads and communication stations that facilitated the movement of information, troops, and resources across the empire. This infrastructure, sometimes referred to as the royal road system, allowed for rapid responses to threats and ensured that the king remained informed about the state of distant provinces. This level of organization was unprecedented and became a model for future empires, enabling the Assyrians to project their power over vast distances with remarkable efficiency. The Assyrian Empire also imposed a standardized system of tribute and taxation, which helped fund its military campaigns and construction projects. Conquered territories were required to pay tribute in the form of goods, livestock, and labor, and failure to do so was met with severe punishment. This tribute system not only provided economic support for the empire, but also reinforced the authority of the Assyrian king, who was seen as the ultimate protector and provider. Cultural achievements and the legacy of Ashurbanipal's library. While the Assyrians were known for their military prowess, they also contributed significantly to Mesopotamian culture, particularly during the reign of Ashurbanipal, c. 627 BCE, one of the last great kings of Assyria. Ashurbanipal was an avid scholar and established the famous Library of Nineveh, a vast collection of cuneiform tablets that included works of literature, religious texts, legal documents, and scientific treatises. The library housed thousands of texts, including the Epic of Gilgamesh, one of the oldest known works of literature, as well as records on medicine, astronomy, and mathematics. The Library of Nineveh became a center of learning, preserving knowledge from across the ancient Near East and ensuring that Mesopotamian culture, literature, and scholarship would endure even after the fall of the Assyrian Empire. Ashurbanipal's library is considered one of the greatest intellectual achievements of the ancient world, symbolizing the Assyrians' commitment to preserving and promoting knowledge. Assyrian art and architecture also flourished, with palaces adorned with intricate stone reliefs depicting military victories, religious ceremonies, and royal life. These reliefs, often carved on the walls of royal palaces, showcased the empire's grandeur and conveyed the power and authority of the Assyrian kings. Assyrian craftsmen excelled in sculpture, producing detailed statues of gods, animals, and mythical creatures. These artistic achievements reflected the empire's religious devotion, as well as its emphasis on the authority and divinity of the king. Challenges and the fall of the Assyrian Empire. Despite its success, the Assyrian Empire was plagued by internal divisions, economic strain, and mounting resistance from subjugated peoples. The vastness of the empire made it difficult to control, and rebellions became increasingly common as conquered populations sought to throw off Assyrian rule. Additionally, the empire's reliance on warfare and tribute created economic instability, as resources were constantly drained to fund military campaigns and maintain the loyalty of distant governors. The empire's decline accelerated in the late 7th century BCE, when a coalition of forces, including the Babylonians, Medes, and Scythians, rose against Assyrian domination. In 612 BCE, the combined forces laid siege to Nineveh, the Assyrian capital, and brought about its destruction. The fall of Nineveh marked the end of the Assyrian Empire, as its territories were divided among the victorious powers. The collapse of the Assyrian Empire was sudden and decisive, as centuries of domination came to an abrupt end. Legacy of the Assyrian Empire. The Assyrian Empire's legacy is multifaceted. While it is often remembered for its military ruthlessness and aggressive tactics, the empire also contributed significantly to the development of statecraft, military organization, and cultural preservation. The Assyrian innovations in governance, such as the use of provincial governors and the establishment of a postal network, influenced the administrative structures of later empires, including the Persian Empire and the Roman Empire. The cultural achievements of the Assyrian Empire, particularly the Library of Nineveh, preserved Mesopotamian knowledge for future generations. Ashurbanipal's library ensured that the literature, science, and religious traditions of the ancient Near East would survive and be rediscovered by scholars centuries later. The Assyrian emphasis on cultural preservation and scholarship highlights a lesser-known aspect of the empire, one that values knowledge as much as power. The Assyrian Empire stands as a testament to the duality of human ambition, the drive to conquer and the desire to create. Its legacy is a reminder of the complexities of empire, the balance between power and preservation, and the lasting impact of cultural and administrative innovations. Though the Assyrian Empire ultimately fell, its influence on the ancient world and its contributions to the development of civilization remain a significant part of human history. Chapter 4. The Persian Empire, Diversity and Tolerance. The Achaemenid Persian Empire, c. 550–330 BCE, founded by Cyrus the Great, is celebrated as one of history's most culturally diverse and administratively sophisticated empires. Spanning from the Mediterranean Sea to the Indus River, this vast empire embraced a policy of tolerance and inclusion, allowing it to govern a wide array of cultures, languages, and religions. The Persian Empire's emphasis on respect for local traditions, combined with its innovative administrative practices, created an era of relative peace and prosperity, making it a model of governance that would influence empires for centuries to come. The rise of Cyrus the Great and the founding of the empire. Cyrus the Great, born into the ruling family of the small kingdom of Anshan in southwestern Persia, was both a skilled military leader and a visionary statesman. Around 550 BCE, he rose against the Median Empire, which had dominated Persia and successfully overthrew it. This victory marked the beginning of the Achaemenid Persian Empire. Cyrus soon launched a series of conquests that expanded his domain to include Lydia in Asia Minor, Babylonia, and parts of Central Asia, creating an empire that spanned 3 continents. One of Cyrus's most significant achievements was his capture of Babylon in 539 BCE, a moment immortalized on the Cyrus cylinder. This clay cylinder, often considered the world's first charter of human rights, records Cyrus's policies of religious freedom and tolerance. Upon entering Babylon, Cyrus freed the enslaved Jewish population and allowed them to return to their homeland, an act recorded in both the Bible and Babylonian records. This approach won Cyrus loyalty and admiration among his subjects, establishing him as a ruler who valued unity and respect over oppression. Cyrus's successors, particularly Darius I and Xerxes I, continued to expand the empire, reaching the borders of Egypt, Libya, and northern Greece. Darius, who reigned from 522 to 486 BCE, is credited with organizing and consolidating the empire, creating the administrative structure that would enable it to thrive for over 2 centuries. Innovations in governance. The satrapy system. One of the Persian Empire's most enduring contributions to governance was the satrapy system, an administrative structure that divided the empire into provinces or satrapies. Each satrapy was overseen by a satrap, or governor, appointed by the king. Satraps were responsible for collecting taxes, maintaining law and order, and overseeing local affairs. This system allowed the central government to maintain control over a vast and diverse empire, while still allowing a degree of autonomy for local leaders. To ensure loyalty, satraps were often selected from the Persian nobility or loyal allies. They were monitored by royal inspectors, known as the king's eyes and ears, who traveled throughout the empire to report on the satrap's activities and ensure that royal decrees were enforced. This early form of checks and balances helped prevent corruption and rebellion, fostering a sense of unity and stability within the empire. The Persian administrative system also standardized taxation and legal codes, promoting fairness and consistency across the empire. Taxes were assessed based on the wealth and resources of each satrapy, and revenues flowed to the central government, funding the empire's infrastructure, military, and court. This system of taxation and resource distribution was key to maintaining the empire's wealth and supporting ambitious building projects, such as the construction of Persepolis. The capital of Persepolis, a symbol of Persian grandeur. Founded by Darius I in the late 6th century BCE, Persepolis served as the ceremonial capital of the Persian Empire and became a symbol of its power, wealth, and cultural sophistication. Located in a mountainous region of present-day Iran, Persepolis was constructed on a grand scale, with palaces, audience halls, and monumental staircases adorned with intricate carvings and reliefs. The site reflected the Persian Empire's architectural style, which blended influences from across the empire, including Mesopotamian, Egyptian, and Greek elements. The Apadana, a large audience hall in Persepolis, was one of the most impressive structures in the city. Its grand staircase, decorated with reliefs depicting representatives from the empire's various provinces bringing tribute to the Persian king, symbolized the diversity and unity of the empire. These images of people from Egypt, India, Ethiopia, and Central Asia reflect the inclusivity that defined Persian rule. Persepolis was not only a political center, but also a cultural one. Darius and his successors used Persepolis as a place to host royal ceremonies, diplomatic meetings, and celebrations, reinforcing their authority and showcasing their wealth. The city's grandeur, however, made it a target. In 330 BCE, Alexander the Great captured Persepolis and set it ablaze, marking the symbolic end of the Achaemenid Persian Empire. Religious tolerance and cultural diversity. The Persian Empire was remarkable for its tolerance of religious and cultural diversity, a policy that set it apart from many of its contemporaries. Persian kings allowed conquered peoples to maintain their religious practices, languages, and cultural traditions. Rather than imposing a single religion or culture, the Persians sought to create a harmonious environment in which diverse beliefs and customs could coexist. This inclusivity won the loyalty of the empire's many subject peoples, who saw Persian rule as a stabilizing force rather than a threat to their way of life. The religion of the Persian ruling class, Zoroastrianism, emphasized the duality of good and evil, encouraging principles of justice, honesty, and respect for others. While Zoroastrianism was influential, it was never imposed upon the empire's diverse populations. This religious tolerance was enshrined in royal decrees, which protected the religious freedoms of the Egyptians, Babylonians, Jews, and other groups within the empire. The Persian Empire's approach to governance and religion created an environment in which knowledge, art, and ideas could flourish. The Persians promoted trade, established roads, and encouraged intellectual exchange between East and West. The construction of the Royal Road, a network of highways that stretched over 1,500 miles from Susa in Persia to Sardis in Anatolia, facilitated communication, commerce, and cultural exchange across the empire. This road, along with a sophisticated postal system, allowed information and goods to travel efficiently, strengthening the ties between Persia's diverse provinces. Military organization and conflicts with Greece. The Persian Empire's military was highly organized and effective, with a well-trained infantry, cavalry, and elite units known as the Immortals, a force of 10,000 soldiers who formed the king's personal guard. Persian kings employed a strategy of diplomacy and negotiation, often incorporating defeated armies into their own forces, allowing them to expand without necessarily destroying existing structures. However, Persia's expansion eventually brought it into conflict with the independent city-states of Greece. The Greco-Persian Wars, which took place between 499 and 449 BCE, were a series of confrontations between the Persian Empire and a coalition of Greek states, including Athens and Sparta. Darius III launched an invasion of Greece in response to Greek support for rebellious cities in Anatolia, but his forces were defeated at the Battle of Marathon in 490 BCE. His successor, Xerxes I, renewed the campaign, leading a massive invasion force into Greece. Despite early victories, Xerxes' forces suffered a devastating defeat at Salamis and were eventually forced to withdraw, marking the end of Persian attempts to conquer Greece. The Greco-Persian Wars showcased the resilience of the Greek city-states, but they also highlighted the Persian Empire's ability to project power across vast distances. Although unsuccessful in Greece, The Persians retained control over their territories in Asia Minor and continued to influence the region, particularly through cultural and commercial connections. The decline and fall of the Persian Empire. The Achaemenid Persian Empire remained a dominant power until the rise of Alexander the Great in the 4th century BCE. In 334 BCE, Alexander launched a campaign against Persia, defeating the forces of Darius III at the Battle of Issus and later at Gaugamela. With Alexander's victory, the Persian Empire fell, and its territories were absorbed into Alexander's vast empire. The defeat of Persia marked the end of the Achaemenid dynasty, but the empire's legacy endured through its contributions to governance, culture, and tolerance. Legacy of the Persian Empire. The Persian Empire's legacy is one of innovation, tolerance, and cultural unity. Its administrative model, particularly the satrapy system, served as an inspiration for subsequent empires, including those of the Romans and Ottomans. The Persian emphasis on respect for local customs and religions created a model of governance that promoted stability in a multicultural society. This approach to rule set a standard for tolerance that influenced empires and nations long after the fall of the Achaemenids. The Persian Empire's contributions to infrastructure, including roads, canals, and irrigation systems, transformed the economies and societies of its territories, leaving lasting impacts on agriculture, commerce, and communication. Its achievements in art, architecture, and cultural exchange enriched the ancient world, and the preservation of Zoroastrian texts and philosophies continued to shape religious thought. The Persian Empire remains a symbol of what can be achieved through respect, inclusivity, and effective governance. Though it ultimately fell to Alexander's forces, the Persian model of empire endures as a testament to the power of diversity and the importance of balance in human governance. Chapter 5. The Greek Empire: Democracy, Philosophy, and Culture. The story of the Greek Empire is one of remarkable innovation in philosophy, democracy, science, and art. Although initially composed of small independent city-states such as Athens, Sparta, and Thebes, Greece's influence would eventually spread far beyond its borders, reaching as far as Egypt and India under the conquests of Alexander the Great. Known for the establishment of democracy, the birth of Western philosophy, and the development of theater, literature, and science, the Greek Empire created a legacy that continues to shape modern thought and governance. The city-states of Greece: Foundations of Democracy and Culture. Greece's early civilization was characterized by its decentralized organization into city-states, or polei. Each polis was politically independent, with its own government, laws, and customs. While most city-states were governed by oligarchies or monarchies, Athens distinguished itself by developing a system of democracy in the 5th century BCE. Led by reformers like Solon and Cleisthenes, Athenian democracy introduced the concept of citizen participation in government, where free male citizens had the right to vote on decisions affecting the state. Athenian democracy was a radical departure from traditional governance and a model for political organization. It emphasized the concept of equal participation, or isonomia, where every citizen had a voice in decision-making, regardless of wealth or social standing. Citizens gathered in the assembly, or ecclesia, where they debated and voted on laws, policies, and issues of war and peace. Positions of power were often chosen by lot, a practice designed to prevent corruption and ensure fairness. Although Athenian democracy had its limitations, It excluded women, slaves, and non-citizens. The ideals it represented laid the groundwork for future democratic systems. Beyond politics, Athens was a center of culture and intellectual achievement. The city was home to philosophers, scientists, poets, and artists who shaped the course of Western thought. During the 5th century BCE, often referred to as Greece's Golden Age, figures like Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle explored questions of ethics, logic, metaphysics, and human nature, establishing schools of thought that would endure for millennia. Their works, including Plato's Republic and Aristotle's Nicomachean Ethics, addressed themes of justice, governance, and morality, forming the basis of Western philosophy. Sparta and the Greek military tradition. While Athens championed democracy and intellectual pursuits, Sparta was renowned for its military prowess and rigorous social structure. The Spartans lived by a strict code of discipline and self-sacrifice, training their citizens from a young age to become skilled warriors. Spartan society was organized around a dual monarchy, with 2 kings who ruled in times of war and peace, and an assembly of elders who advised on political matters. Spartan citizens were expected to prioritize the needs of the state above all else, and their education emphasized physical endurance, loyalty, and obedience. The contrast between Athens and Sparta represented 2 distinct approaches to life and governance. Athens celebrated freedom, debate, and the pursuit of knowledge, while Sparta valued strength, discipline, and communal loyalty. This duality became central to Greek identity and provided a balance of intellectual and military traditions that would prove essential in times of conflict. The Persian Wars, a test of unity and resilience. The Greek city-state's most significant challenge came with the Persian Wars, 499–449 BCE, a series of conflicts between Greece and the vast Persian Empire. The wars began when Athens supported the Ionian Revolt against Persian rule in Asia Minor, prompting Darius the Fair of Persia to launch an invasion of Greece. The first major confrontation, the Battle of Marathon in 490 BCE, saw the vastly outnumbered Athenians achieve a stunning victory against the Persian forces. This triumph not only preserved Athens, but also demonstrated the strength of Greek unity and the effectiveness of their citizen army. A decade later, Xerxes the Fair, the son of Darius, sought to conquer Greece once again. He launched an enormous invasion, bringing an army and navy that reportedly numbered in the hundreds of thousands. The Greeks, realizing the need for unity, formed an alliance led by Athens and Sparta. The Battle of Thermopylae became one of the most iconic engagements of the war, where King Leonidas of Sparta and his 300 Spartans, along with allies from other city-states, held off the Persian forces at a narrow pass for 3 days. Although the Persians ultimately defeated the Greeks at Thermopylae, the battle served as a powerful symbol of resistance and courage. The decisive Greek victory came at the Battle of Salamis, a naval engagement where the Athenian navy, under Themistocles, lured the Persian fleet into a narrow strait, allowing the smaller and more maneuverable Greek ships to prevail. This victory, followed by the Greek triumph at the Battle of Plataea in 479 BCE, forced Xerxes to withdraw, securing Greece's independence and marking a turning point in Greek history. The Persian Wars underscored the importance of unity among the Greek city-states and solidified their shared sense of identity and pride. The Delian League and the Athenian Empire. In the aftermath of the Persian Wars, Athens emerged as a dominant power in Greece and established the Delian League, a coalition of Greek city-states united to defend against future Persian aggression. Over time, however, Athens transformed the League into a vehicle for its own imperial ambitions, imposing Athenian control over its allies and demanding tributes to fund its growing empire. Under the leadership of Pericles, Athens used these resources to finance grand architectural projects, including the Parthenon, a temple dedicated to the goddess Athena, symbolizing Athenian power and cultural achievements. Athens entered a period of cultural and intellectual flourishing during Pericles' leadership. Known as the Age of Pericles, this era saw advancements in art, theater, philosophy, and democracy. Playwrights such as Sophocles, Euripides, and Aristophanes created works of tragedy and comedy that explored themes of fate, justice, and the complexities of human nature. These plays, performed in open-air theaters, were not only entertainment, but also a means of engaging the public in social and political issues, reflecting the democratic spirit of Athenian society. However, Athenian dominance and imperialism bred resentment among other Greek city-states, particularly Sparta, leading to the Peloponnesian War, 431–404 BCE. This protracted conflict pitted the Athenian Empire against the Peloponnesian League, led by Sparta, in a struggle for control over Greece. The war ultimately ended with Athens's defeat, weakening the Greek city-states and leaving them vulnerable to external forces. The Peloponnesian War marked the beginning of the end of the classical Greek era, as internal strife and political fragmentation undermined Greece's unity. The rise of Macedon and the conquests of Alexander the Great. The rise of Macedon, a kingdom in northern Greece, marked the next stage in the story of the Greek Empire. Under King Philip II, Macedon unified the Greek city-states and established a powerful military. Philip's reforms, which included the creation of the Macedonian phalanx, a highly disciplined formation of soldiers armed with long spears, revolutionized Greek warfare and allowed Macedon to dominate its southern neighbors. Philip's son, Alexander the Great, inherited this formidable army and embarked on a campaign of conquest that would create one of the largest empires in history. In 334 BCE, Alexander crossed into Asia Minor, beginning a decade-long campaign that took him through Persia, Egypt, and as far as India. This spread Greek culture and ideas across the known world, creating a new era known as the Hellenistic Age. Alexander's vision was not only to conquer, but to unify diverse cultures under a shared Greek influence, often referred to as Hellenization. In the cities he founded, such as Alexandria in Egypt, Greek culture blended with local traditions, resulting in a vibrant fusion of art, science, and philosophy. Greek became the lingua franca of the Hellenistic world, and Greek influence reached new heights in fields like astronomy, mathematics, and medicine. Scholars like Euclid, the mathematician known for his work in geometry, and Archimedes, the inventor and physicist, flourished in this era, advancing knowledge that would be foundational for centuries to come. The Hellenistic Age, a legacy of blended cultures. After Alexander's death in 323 BCE, his empire fractured as his generals, known as the Diadochi, divided his territories among themselves, creating rival Hellenistic kingdoms in Egypt, Mesopotamia, and Asia Minor. These kingdoms, including the Ptolemaic kingdom in Egypt and the Seleucid Empire in Persia, continued to promote Greek culture while also adopting elements of local customs and traditions. This blend of Greek and Eastern influences defined the Hellenistic Age, a period marked by unprecedented cultural exchange and intellectual achievement. The city of Alexandria became a center of learning, housing the famous Library of Alexandria, and attracting scholars, artists, and scientists from across the Mediterranean and beyond. The Hellenistic age fostered a spirit of inquiry and experimentation, as Greek philosophy, art, and science spread throughout the ancient world. New schools of thought emerged, including Stoicism and Epicureanism, which explored questions of ethics, happiness, and the nature of the universe. The legacy of the Greek Empire. The legacy of the Greek Empire is vast, touching nearly every aspect of modern culture, governance, and philosophy. Greek contributions to democracy, philosophy, literature, and science laid the foundations for Western civilization. The Athenian model of democracy inspired later political thinkers, and the philosophical inquiries of Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle continue to influence modern ethics, politics, and education. The spread of Greek culture through Alexander's conquests and the Hellenistic age created a shared cultural foundation that connected distant regions and fostered the exchange of ideas. The Greeks' emphasis on reason, inquiry, and debate became central tenets of the Western intellectual tradition, while their achievements in art, architecture, and theater shaped the aesthetic ideals of subsequent generations. The Greek Empire's legacy lives on, a testament to the power of ideas and the enduring influence of a civilization that valued knowledge, creativity, and the pursuit of truth. Though the empire itself eventually dissolved, the cultural and intellectual heritage of Greece remains a cornerstone of human history. Chapter 6. The Maurya Empire. Unification of the Indian subcontinent. The Maurya Empire, c. 321–185 BCE, stands as one of the most significant and influential empires in Indian history, marking the first time much of the Indian subcontinent was unified under a single administration. Founded by Chandragupta Maurya and later expanded by his successors, especially Ashoka the Great, the Maurya Empire was known for its efficient governance, military strength, and contributions to Indian culture, religion, and politics. The empire's achievements in administration, as well as Ashoka's promotion of Buddhism and nonviolence, left a legacy that would shape India for centuries. Chandragupta Maurya. The Rise of an Empire. The story of the Maurya Empire begins with Chandragupta Maurya, a young man of humble origins who rose to become one of the most powerful rulers in Indian history. According to historical and legendary accounts, Chandragupta was mentored by Chanakya, also known as Kautilya, a brilliant philosopher, economist, and political strategist. Chanakya played a pivotal role in helping Chandragupta overthrow the Nanda dynasty in Magadha, a powerful kingdom located in present-day Bihar. Together, they established the Maurya Empire, which quickly expanded its territory and influence. Once in power, Chandragupta embarked on an ambitious campaign to unify the fragmented kingdoms of the Indian subcontinent. He built a formidable army and extended his rule across northern and central India. One of his notable conquests was the successful expulsion of Greek forces left behind by Alexander the Great in northwestern India, securing the empire's borders and establishing a reputation for military strength. Chandragupta's empire eventually stretched from modern-day Afghanistan in the northwest to Bengal in the east, and parts of the Deccan Plateau in the south. To govern his vast empire, Chandragupta, with Chanakya's guidance, established a centralized administration. The empire was divided into provinces, each overseen by a governor appointed by the emperor. This system of governance, documented in the Arthashastra, a treatise attributed to Chanakya, covered various aspects of administration, including taxation, justice, diplomacy, and espionage. The Arthashastra provided a comprehensive guide to statecraft, ensuring efficient governance and a stable economy. Chandragupta's rule laid the foundation for one of India's most prosperous and culturally significant empires, setting the stage for future developments under his grandson, Ashoka. Bindusara and the consolidation of power. Following Chandragupta's abdication and retreat to a life of asceticism, his son Bindusara succeeded him as the ruler of the Maurya Empire. Bindusara continued his father's policies of expansion and consolidation, strengthening the empire's hold over the territories acquired by Chandragupta. While not as renowned as his predecessor or successor, Bindusara effectively maintained the stability and prosperity of the Maurya Empire, overseeing a period of relative peace and economic growth. Under Bindusara's rule, the empire maintained its relationships with foreign states. Records suggest that he established diplomatic relations with Seleucus the Firmer Nicator, one of Alexander the Great's former generals and the founder of the Seleucid Empire. These relations fostered trade and cultural exchange between India and the Hellenistic world, introducing new ideas, goods, and technologies to the subcontinent. Bindusara's reign provided a stable environment for the empire, ensuring that his son, Ashoka, would inherit a powerful and prosperous state. Ashoka the Great. Transformation and the embrace of Buddhism. The most celebrated ruler of the Maurya Empire, Ashoka the Great, c. 268 to 232 BCE, is remembered not only for his conquests, but also for his transformation from a ruthless conqueror to a proponent of peace, tolerance, and nonviolence. Early in his reign, Ashoka sought to expand the empire through military campaigns. His most notable and brutal campaign was the conquest of Kalinga, a region on the eastern coast of India. The Battle of Kalinga resulted in massive casualties, with thousands killed and many more displaced. The scale of the devastation deeply affected Ashoka, prompting a dramatic shift in his beliefs and policies. Moved by the suffering he had caused, Ashoka embraced Buddhism and renounced violence, dedicating the rest of his reign to promoting dharma, or righteousness. He declared Buddhism the guiding philosophy of his rule, encouraging compassion, morality, and tolerance among his subjects. Ashoka's commitment to these principles is evident in his edicts, a series of inscriptions carved into rocks, pillars, and cave walls across the empire. Written in various languages, including Prakrit and Greek, these edicts conveyed Ashoka's values and policies, reaching people across the vast Mauryan Empire. The edicts of Ashoka serve as one of the earliest known examples of state-supported ethical and religious education. They cover topics such as the humane treatment of animals, respect for elders, care for the poor, and religious tolerance. Ashoka's edicts also promoted nonviolence and discouraged unnecessary sacrifices, reflecting his commitment to Buddhist principles. Ashoka established hospitals, animal shelters, and welfare programs for his people, setting a precedent for governance that prioritized social welfare and moral integrity. Ashoka's adoption of Buddhism and his promotion of its teachings had a lasting impact on Indian society and religion. He supported the spread of Buddhism beyond India, sending missionaries to regions such as Sri Lanka, Central Asia, and Southeast Asia, which helped establish Buddhism as a major world religion. Ashoka's legacy as a ruler dedicated to peace and compassion would inspire future generations, both in India and abroad, making him one of history's most revered figures. Governance and the Arthashastra. The Maurya Empire's governance system was highly structured and organized, with policies guided by the principles outlined in the Arthashastra. Attributed to Chanakya, the Arthashastra is an ancient treatise on politics, economics, military strategy, and governance. It provides insights into the Mauryan administrative structure, including its emphasis on bureaucracy, intelligence gathering, and law enforcement. The Maurya Empire was divided into provinces, each governed by a royal official who reported directly to the emperor. Local administration was further divided into districts and villages, with officials overseeing various aspects of governance, from taxation to law and order. The Arthashastra advocated for a well-organized espionage network, with spies reporting on local leaders, traders, and military officers to ensure loyalty and prevent corruption. The Mauryan economy was primarily agrarian, with taxes on land and agriculture forming the empire's main source of revenue. The state also controlled mines, forests, and trade routes, enabling the Maurya Empire to fund its military campaigns and public works projects. The Arthashastra emphasized the importance of a strong central government and an active military to protect the state's interests and ensure prosperity. Cultural achievements and legacy. Under the Maurya Empire, Indian culture and intellectual pursuits flourished. The empire encouraged the arts, literature, and science, fostering a cultural renaissance that enriched Indian society. Buddhist monasteries and stupas were constructed throughout the empire, promoting artistic expression and religious devotion. Ashoka's patronage of Buddhism led to the creation of intricate stone carvings, statues of the Buddha, and stupas, which became important symbols of Buddhist art and architecture. One of the most famous monuments from the Maurya period is the Sanchi Stupa, commissioned by Ashoka. This massive, dome-shaped structure, located in central India, serves as a reliquary for Buddhist relics and features intricate carvings that depict scenes from the Buddha's life. The Sanchi Stupa remains one of India's most significant archaeological sites, and a testament to the Maurya Empire's architectural achievements. The Maurya Empire also promoted intellectual and scientific advancements. Indian scholars studied mathematics, astronomy, and medicine, contributing to knowledge that would later influence Islamic and European science. The concept of zero and advancements in algebra and geometry can be traced back to this period, reflecting the Maurya Empire's commitment to learning and intellectual growth. Decline of the Maurya Empire. Despite its achievements, the Maurya Empire began to decline after Ashoka's death. Without his unifying presence, the empire struggled with internal conflicts, succession disputes, and economic challenges. Subsequent rulers lacked Ashoka's vision and leadership, and the centralized administration began to weaken. The empire's vast size made it difficult to govern, and local leaders gradually gained more autonomy, reducing the influence of the central government. In the early 2nd century BCE, the Maurya Empire faced external threats from invading forces, including the Greeks and Central Asian tribes. Around 185 BCE, the last Mauryan ruler, Brihadratha, was assassinated by his general Pushyamitra Shunga, marking the end of the Maurya Empire and the beginning of the Shunga dynasty. Although the empire disintegrated, its achievements in governance, culture, and religion left an indelible mark on Indian civilization. Legacy of the Maurya Empire. The Maurya Empire's legacy is one of unity, ethical governance, and cultural flourishing. It demonstrated the possibility of a large, centralized state in India, inspiring future empires such as the Gupta Empire. Ashoka's promotion of Buddhism and commitment to nonviolence had a profound impact on Indian society, establishing principles of compassion and tolerance that continue to resonate today. The empire's administrative innovations, as outlined in the Arthashastra, laid the groundwork for statecraft in India, while its cultural and religious contributions enriched the spiritual and intellectual landscape of the subcontinent. The Maurya Empire's emphasis on moral governance and social welfare set a precedent for rulers who sought to balance power with compassion, making it one of the most celebrated periods in Indian history. Chapter 7. The Roman Empire: Engineering, Law, and Lasting Legacy. The Roman Empire, 27 BCE, 476 CE, was one of the most influential empires in history, stretching from the British Isles to North Africa and the Middle East. Renowned for its achievements in governance, law, engineering, and military strategy, Rome created a legacy that shaped Western civilization for millennia. The empire's sophisticated systems of governance, legal principles, and infrastructure set new standards for organization and innovation, while its cultural achievements in art, literature, and philosophy continue to inspire. The foundations of Rome and the Roman Republic. The origins of Rome are steeped in myth and legend, with stories of Romulus and Remus, the twin brothers raised by a she-wolf, who are said to have founded the city of Rome in 753 BCE. From its early days as a small settlement along the Tiber River, Rome grew into a powerful city-state. Around 509 BCE, Rome overthrew its monarchy and established a republic, a political system that emphasized representation, checks and balances, and a division of powers, a model that would inspire later democratic governments. The Roman Republic was marked by a complex system of governance, with two annually elected consuls who shared executive power, a senate that represented Rome's aristocracy, and various assemblies that represented the common people. This structure allowed Rome to maintain stability while expanding its territories through alliances, military conquests, and diplomacy. The Republic's emphasis on civic duty and shared governance fostered a strong sense of Roman identity, even as the state grew more powerful and diverse. As Rome expanded, conflicts arose between the patricians, the aristocratic elite, and the plebeians, the common people, leading to social reforms and the 12 Tables, Rome's first written code of law, established around 450 BCE. The 12 Tables provided a legal framework that emphasized equality before the law, setting a precedent for future legal systems. Military expansion and the rise of the Roman Empire. The Roman Republic's expansion was driven by its highly disciplined and organized military. Roman soldiers, known as legionaries, were part of a professional army that was divided into legions, each consisting of about 5,000 men. The Roman military's adaptability and discipline allowed it to conquer a wide range of territories, from the Carthaginian strongholds in North Africa to the Celtic tribes in Gaul, modern-day France. The Romans built an extensive network of roads and fortresses, which enabled them to move troops quickly across their empire, ensuring control over distant provinces. One of Rome's most significant conflicts was the Punic Wars, 264–146 BCE, a series of 3 wars against Carthage, a powerful city-state on the northern coast of Africa. The Second Punic War, in particular, featured Hannibal, a Carthaginian general who famously crossed the Alps with a contingent of war elephants to attack Rome. Despite Hannibal's early victories, Rome ultimately emerged victorious, and in 146 BCE, it destroyed Carthage, solidifying its dominance in the Mediterranean. By the 1st century BCE, Rome faced internal turmoil as generals such as Julius Caesar, Pompey, and Crassus vied for power. Caesar's military successes in Gaul and his decision to cross the Rubicon River in 49 BCE, defying the Senate's orders, led to a civil war that ultimately resulted in the fall of the Roman Republic. Caesar's assassination in 44 BCE did little to restore, and after another series of conflicts, his adopted heir, Octavian, later known as Augustus, established himself as Rome's first emperor in 27 BCE, marking the beginning of the Roman Empire. The Pax Romana and Rome's Golden Age. Under Augustus, the Roman Empire entered an era of relative peace and prosperity known as the Pax Romana, 27 BCE, 180 CE. This period, lasting over 200 years, was characterized by economic stability, cultural achievements, and expansive construction projects. Augustus reformed the administration, establishing a professional civil service and a standing army loyal to the emperor rather than individual generals. These reforms helped stabilize the empire and allowed it to manage its vast territories effectively. During the Pax Romana, Rome's infrastructure reached new heights. The Romans constructed aqueducts to supply cities with fresh water, public baths, temples, amphitheaters, and extensive road networks that facilitated trade and communication across the empire. The Colosseum, completed in 80 CE, remains an architectural marvel and an enduring symbol of Roman engineering. Capable of seating tens of thousands, it hosted gladiatorial games and other public spectacles, reflecting Rome's emphasis on public entertainment and civic pride. Roman cities were highly organized, with public forums, temples, markets, and administrative buildings that served as the center of civic life. The Roman Empire's architectural achievements, such as the Pantheon with its massive concrete dome, set standards for durability and design, influencing architecture throughout history. The Roman legal system. Foundation of modern law. One of the most enduring legacies of the Roman Empire was its legal system. Roman law, codified in texts such as the 12 Tables, and later the Corpus Juris Civilis, body of civil law, became the foundation for legal principles that continue to shape modern jurisprudence. Roman law emphasized the rights of individuals, property rights, contract law, and the concept of legal precedent. The principle of innocent until proven guilty and the right to face one's accuser in court were cornerstones of Roman law, providing a sense of fairness and equality before the law. Legal professionals, including advocates and judges, played important roles in Roman society, and their interpretations of the law established precedents that influenced later legal systems. The influence of Roman law is particularly evident in civil law traditions, which form the basis of legal systems in many European countries and former colonies. Rome's legal system was closely linked to its governance, as the emperor held ultimate authority over the law. However, laws were applied consistently across the empire, creating a sense of unity and order that contributed to Rome's longevity. The legal principles established by Rome would later be rediscovered and adapted by medieval and modern European societies, solidifying the Roman Empire's impact on Western legal thought. Cultural achievements and intellectual life. The Roman Empire was a center of cultural and intellectual activity, drawing influences from the Greeks, Egyptians, and other conquered civilizations. Roman literature flourished during the empire's golden age, with poets like Virgil, Ovid, and Horace creating works that celebrated Rome's history, values, and achievements. Virgil's epic poem, the Aeneid, became a national epic that connected Rome's origins to the mythic hero Aeneas, linking Roman heritage to the ancient heroes of Troy. Roman philosophy and rhetoric were also highly valued, with intellectuals like Cicero contributing to the development of political theory and ethics. Cicero's works on justice, governance, and morality influenced later thinkers and contributed to the Western intellectual tradition. Roman scientists and engineers made significant advancements in areas such as astronomy, geography, and medicine, building upon the knowledge of earlier civilizations and adding their own innovations. Roman religion initially focused on traditional gods and goddesses, such as Jupiter, Juno, and Mars, who represented various aspects of life and society. However, as the empire expanded, it absorbed deities and religious practices from other cultures. This tolerance for diverse beliefs contributed to Rome's cultural richness and fostered a spirit of inclusivity. In the 4th century CE, under Emperor Constantine, Christianity was legalized and eventually became the empire's dominant religion, transforming Roman spiritual life and influencing European history for centuries. The decline and fall of the Roman Empire. By the 3rd century CE, the Roman Empire began to face a series of challenges that ultimately led to its decline. Political instability, economic troubles, military overextension, and external pressures weakened the empire's foundations. The crisis of the 3rd century, 235–284 CE, saw frequent changes in leadership, with over 20 emperors in a span of 50 years. This instability disrupted governance and weakened the empire's defenses. Emperor Diocletian attempted to address these issues by dividing the empire into two parts, the Eastern and Western Roman empires, in 285 CE. This division was intended to make governance more manageable, with each half ruled by a separate emperor. However, it also created a lasting separation that weakened the unity of the empire. The Eastern Roman Empire, centered in Constantinople, thrived, while the Western Roman Empire continued to decline. In the 5th century, the Western Roman Empire faced invasions from Germanic tribes, including the Visigoths, Vandals, and Ostrogoths. In 410 CE, the Visigoths, led by Alaric, sacked Rome, a shocking event that symbolized the empire's vulnerability. In 476 CE, the Western Roman Empire officially fell when the last emperor, Romulus Augustulus, was deposed by the Germanic chieftain Odoacer. This marked the end of ancient Rome, although the Eastern Roman Empire, known as the Byzantine Empire, would continue for nearly 1,000 more years. Legacy of the Roman Empire. The fall of Rome did not mark the end of its influence. The Roman Empire's legacy permeates Western civilization, from its legal principles and architectural achievements to its contributions to art, literature, and philosophy. Roman law, in particular, provided a foundation for the development of civil law, influencing legal systems in Europe and beyond. The architectural innovations of Rome, such as the use of concrete, arches, and domes, set standards that inspired builders and architects throughout history. Rome's cultural legacy, including its literature, philosophy, and political ideas, laid the groundwork for the Renaissance and the Enlightenment. Latin, the language of Rome, became the foundation of the Romance languages and remained the language of scholarship and religion for centuries. The spread of Christianity, which Rome adopted as its official religion, transformed the spiritual landscape of Europe and became a central force in Western history. The Roman Empire's achievements in governance, engineering, and law demonstrate the power of organized society and the importance of civic responsibility. Though the empire eventually fell, its legacy endures as a testament to human creativity, resilience, and the quest for progress. The story of Rome is a reminder of both the potential and the fragility of empires, inspiring future generations to learn from its triumphs and challenges. Chapter 8. The Han Dynasty, China's Golden Age. The Han Dynasty, 206 BCE, 220 CE, is widely regarded as one of the most prosperous and culturally influential periods in Chinese history, often referred to as China's Golden Age. The Han Dynasty unified China under a central government, established a lasting bureaucracy, and promoted advances in science, technology, literature, and philosophy. Its achievements in trade, infrastructure, and culture set the foundation for Chinese civilization and created a legacy that endures to this day. Under the Han, China expanded its borders, connected with distant civilizations via the Silk Road, and saw the flourishing of Confucian thought, which would influence Chinese society for centuries. The rise of the Han Dynasty and the fall of the Qin. The Han Dynasty was founded by Liu Bang, later known as Emperor Gaozu, after the collapse of the Qin Dynasty, 221–206 BCE. The Qin, while successful in unifying China, had ruled with harsh laws and oppressive policies, leading to widespread dissatisfaction. After the death of Qin's first emperor, Qin Shi Huang, the dynasty fell into chaos, sparking rebellions across China. Liu Bang, a peasant-turned-rebel leader, emerged victorious in these conflicts, defeating the last Qin emperor and establishing the Han Dynasty in 206 BCE. Unlike the Qin, Liu Bang adopted a more moderate approach to governance, reducing taxes, abolishing harsh punishments, and promoting policies that encouraged agricultural productivity. He decentralized power to local rulers, allowing them autonomy in their regions in exchange for loyalty to the central government. This approach helped Liu Bang consolidate his rule and gain the loyalty of China's people. Under his leadership, the Han Dynasty established stability, unity, and a system of governance that would endure for centuries. The Han bureaucracy and Confucian influence. One of the Han Dynasty's most lasting contributions was its highly organized and effective bureaucratic system, which relied on educated officials selected for their skills and merit. While earlier dynasties had centralized power, the Han perfected the system by creating a network of government officials who were responsible for implementing imperial policies across vast territories. This bureaucratic system allowed the Han emperors to maintain control over China's diverse population, ensuring that local leaders were accountable to the central authority. Emperor Wu of Han, 141–87 BCE, one of the most influential Han rulers, expanded this bureaucratic system and established Confucianism as the official state philosophy. Confucianism, founded by Confucius, 551–479 BCE, emphasized the importance of ethics, social harmony, and respect for hierarchy. Emperor Wu promoted Confucian principles, seeing them as a means to promote loyalty, respect, and stability within the empire. Confucian thought emphasized the role of the emperor as a benevolent ruler, responsible for the well-being of his people, and promoted the idea of government officials as servants of the state, dedicated to ethical governance. To support this system, the Han established imperial academies, where aspiring officials studied Confucian texts and took examinations to qualify for government service. This system of education and civil service became a hallmark of Chinese governance, setting a precedent for the future imperial examinations that would shape Chinese society for nearly 2 millennia. Confucian principles became deeply ingrained in Chinese culture, influencing family structure, education, and social relations, creating a lasting legacy that extended far beyond the Han Dynasty. The expansion of the Han Empire and the Silk Road. Under the Han Dynasty, China's borders expanded significantly, reaching far beyond the core territories along the Yellow and Yangtze rivers. Emperor Wu launched military campaigns to secure China's borders and establish dominance over neighboring regions, including Korea, Vietnam, and parts of Central Asia. The Han's military success allowed them to control key trade routes, facilitating the exchange of goods, ideas, and technologies across Asia. One of the most significant achievements of the Han Dynasty was the establishment of the Silk Road, a network of trade routes that connected China to the Mediterranean world. Named after the silk that was China's most prized export, the Silk Road became a conduit for the exchange of goods, cultures, and knowledge between East and West. Chinese silk, tea, and ceramics were traded for horses, glassware, spices, and precious metals from regions as far as Rome, Persia, and India. The Silk Road helped spread Buddhism to China and influence the development of Chinese culture, art, and religion. The Silk Road also played a crucial role in establishing diplomatic and military alliances. In particular, the Han Dynasty forged alliances with the Xiongnu, a confederation of nomadic tribes that posed a threat to China's northern borders. Through trade and diplomacy, the Han reduced hostilities with the Xiongnu and secured the flow of goods along the Silk Road, contributing to a period of relative stability and prosperity. Scientific and technological advancements. The Han Dynasty was a period of remarkable scientific and technological innovation. Han scholars made significant contributions to astronomy, mathematics, medicine, and engineering, reflecting the dynasty's commitment to knowledge and practical application. One of the most notable inventions of the Han period was paper, which revolutionized record-keeping and literature. Paper was easier and cheaper to produce than the bamboo or silk previously used for writing, enabling the expansion of literacy and the preservation of knowledge. The Han also developed the world's first known seismograph, an instrument used to detect earthquakes. Invented by the scientist Zhang Heng, this device used a system of levers and pendulums to detect seismic activity, allowing the government to respond more effectively to natural disasters. Zhang Heng also contributed to advancements in astronomy, accurately calculating the length of the solar year and creating detailed maps of the stars. In medicine, Han scholars compiled extensive medical texts that covered a range of topics, including herbal remedies, acupuncture, and surgery. The Huangdi Nei Jing, Yellow Emperor's Inner Canon, a foundational text of Chinese medicine, was compiled during the Han period and remains influential in traditional Chinese medicine to this day. These medical advancements improved public health and set the stage for future developments in Chinese medical science, art, literature, and cultural flourishing. The Han Dynasty was a period of cultural renaissance with significant advancements in art, literature, and philosophy. Han art is characterized by intricate bronze work, ceramics, and jade carvings, as well as detailed tomb sculptures and reliefs that depicted scenes from everyday life. These artworks provide insights into Han society, illustrating the lives of nobles, farmers, and soldiers, as well as rituals, festivals, and mythological beliefs. Literature flourished under the Han, with historians and poets producing works that celebrated the empire's achievements and documented its history. The historian Sima Qian compiled the Shiji, Records of the Grand Historian, a comprehensive account of Chinese history from the earliest dynasties to the Han era. Sima Qian's work established a standard for writing in China, blending factual accounts with moral commentary and setting a precedent for future historians. Confucian and Taoist philosophy continued to develop, influencing Han thought and culture. While Confucianism emphasized social harmony and ethical governance, Taoism promoted a connection with nature and the pursuit of spiritual balance. These philosophies coexisted in Han society, shaping the moral and intellectual foundations of Chinese civilization. Challenges and the decline of the Han dynasty. Despite its achievements, the Han dynasty faced numerous challenges that ultimately led to its decline. The empire's expansion placed a strain on its resources, while its complex bureaucracy became increasingly corrupt over time. Land ownership became concentrated in the hands of wealthy landowners, leading to economic inequality and social unrest. Peasants, burdened by heavy taxes and forced labor, became increasingly discontented, contributing to uprisings such as the Yellow Turban Rebellion in 184 CE. Political corruption and infighting among the aristocracy further weakened the Han government, as powerful families and eunuchs vied for influence within the imperial court. The empire was divided between factions loyal to different leaders, leading to a series of civil wars that destabilized the state. The Han's inability to address these issues ultimately led to the collapse of the central government. And in 220 CE, Han Emperor end of the dynasty. Fall Han dynasty ushered in a period of division known as the Three Kingdoms era, during which China was divided into competing states. This period of fragmentation and conflict lasted for several centuries, although the legacy of the Han continued to influence Chinese society and governance. Legacy of the Han Dynasty. The Han Dynasty's legacy is enduring and profound, shaping Chinese culture, government, and identity for generations. Its bureaucratic structure and emphasis on Confucian principles became fundamental aspects of Chinese governance, influencing subsequent dynasties and establishing a model for ethical and centralized administration. The establishment of the Silk Road under the Han fostered trade and cultural exchange, connecting China to distant civilizations and promoting the spread of ideas, religions, and technologies. The Han Dynasty's cultural achievements in art, literature, and philosophy enriched Chinese civilization, creating a sense of national pride and continuity. Confucianism became deeply ingrained in Chinese society, shaping social norms, family values, and educational systems. The scientific and technological advancements of the Han period demonstrated China's innovative spirit and commitment to practical knowledge. The Han Dynasty remains a symbol of unity, prosperity, and cultural flourishing in Chinese history. Its legacy lives on in the name Han Chinese, which is still used to describe the majority ethnic group in China today. The Han Dynasty's contributions to governance, culture, and trade established a foundation that would influence East Asia and the broader world, leaving a lasting impact on the course of human civilization. Chapter 9. The Byzantine Empire. The Lasting Legacy of Rome. The Byzantine Empire, 330–1453 CE, also known as the Eastern Roman Empire, preserved the legacy of Rome for over 1,000 years after the fall of the Western Roman Empire. Centered in Constantinople, modern-day Istanbul, the Byzantine Empire was known for its achievements in law, religion, art, and architecture. It served as a cultural and economic bridge between Europe and Asia, influencing both Eastern and Western civilizations. With a distinct Christian identity, a rich artistic tradition, and the monumental Justinian Code of Law, the Byzantine Empire left an indelible mark on history. The foundation of Constantinople and the rise of the Byzantine Empire. The Byzantine Empire's origins can be traced to the decision by Emperor Constantine the Great to establish a new capital for the Roman Empire in the eastern city of Byzantium in 330 CE. Renamed Constantinople in his honor, the city was strategically located at the crossroads of Europe and Asia, along vital trade routes that connected the Mediterranean to the Black Sea. Constantinople's location allowed it to control key trade networks and defend against invasions, making it a stronghold that would endure for centuries. Constantine's embrace of Christianity as the state religion of the empire further shaped Byzantine identity. With the foundation of Constantinople, the Eastern Roman Empire took on a distinctly Christian character, setting itself apart from the old pagan traditions of Rome. This shift toward a Christian state was solidified in 395 CE, when the Roman Empire was officially divided into the Eastern and Western empires. While the Western Roman Empire fell to barbarian invasions in 476 CE, the Eastern Empire survived, evolving into what we now call the Byzantine Empire. Constantinople became a center of political power, culture, and religion. Its massive walls, known as the Theodosian Walls, were of engineering and protected the city from sieges for nearly a millennium. The city's strategic location, combined with its fortifications, enabled it to withstand numerous attacks, ensuring that the Byzantine Empire remained a bastion of stability, wealth, and culture, even as the rest of Europe fell into the turmoil of the medieval period. The reign of Justinian I and the Justinian Code. The Byzantine Empire reached its peak under Emperor Justinian Vars, 527–565 CE, whose ambitious reign was marked by military conquests, architectural achievements, and legal reforms. Justinian sought to restore the former glory of Rome, embarking on campaigns to reclaim lost territories in North Africa, Italy, and Spain. His general, Belisarius, successfully reconquered large parts of the Western Roman Empire, temporarily restoring Byzantine influence across the Mediterranean. One of Justinian's most enduring contributions was the creation of the Corpus Juris Civilis, or the Justinian Code. This comprehensive legal code organized and codified centuries of Roman law, creating a clear and accessible system of justice that would influence legal thought in Europe for centuries. The Justinian Code emphasized the rights of individuals, property rights, and legal principles such as innocent until proven guilty, setting a standard for fairness and equality. This legal framework became the foundation for the civil law tradition, which continues to shape the legal systems of many modern nations. Justinian was also a patron of art and architecture. His most famous architectural achievement was the construction of the Hagia Sophia, a monumental cathedral in Constantinople that became a symbol of Byzantine architecture and Orthodox Christianity. Completed in 537 CE, the Hagia Sophia's massive dome and intricate mosaics represented the pinnacle of Byzantine engineering and artistic expression. For nearly 1,000 years, it stood as the largest cathedral in the world. inspiring generations of architects and symbolizing the grandeur of the Byzantine Empire. Despite Justinian's achievements, his reign faced challenges, including the Plague of Justinian, a devastating outbreak of bubonic plague that killed millions across the empire. The plague weakened the Byzantine economy, reduced the population, and undermined Justinian's military campaigns. While Justinian's reign represented a high point in Byzantine history, his successors struggled to maintain the territories he had reclaimed, and the empire's borders gradually receded. Religious conflict and the iconoclast controversy. Religion played a central role in Byzantine society, with the Eastern Orthodox Church becoming a defining aspect of Byzantine identity. However, the empire was frequently divided by religious disputes, particularly over the use of religious images, or icons, in worship. The iconoclast controversy, 726–843 CE, was one of the most divisive conflicts in Byzantine history, pitting those who believed in the use of icons, iconophiles, against those who sought to ban them, iconoclasts. Emperor Leo III initiated the first wave of iconoclasm in 726 CE, ordering the removal and destruction of religious images, which he viewed as idolatrous. This policy created a rift between the Byzantine emperor and the Church, leading to violent clashes and widespread destruction of art. Iconoclasm was briefly reversed, but a second wave in the early 9th century under Emperor Theophilos reignited the conflict. The controversy finally ended in 843 CE, when Empress Theodora restored the use of icons, celebrating the event with the Feast of Orthodoxy, which is still observed in the Eastern Orthodox Church today. The resolution of the iconoclast controversy strengthened the Church's influence in Byzantine society and solidified the use of religious art in Orthodox worship, leading to a flourishing of iconographic tradition that became a hallmark of Byzantine culture. Byzantine art and cultural achievements. Byzantine art and culture reached new heights during the empire's long history, influencing both Eastern and Western art. Byzantine artists developed a distinctive style characterized by vibrant mosaics, intricate icons, and gold leaf, creating religious imagery that conveyed a sense of divine majesty. The mosaics of the Hagia Sophia, as well as those in churches across the empire, depicted Christ, the Virgin Mary, and saints in a style that emphasized spirituality and otherworldliness. Byzantine icons, small religious paintings used for personal devotion, became central to Orthodox Christian worship and were believed to facilitate a direct connection with the divine. The tradition of iconography spread beyond the Byzantine Empire to Russia, the Balkans, and other parts of Eastern Europe, leaving a lasting impact on Orthodox Christian art. In addition to its artistic achievements, the Byzantine Empire was a center of scholarship and learning. Byzantine scholars preserved and copied the works of ancient Greek philosophers, scientists, and mathematicians, ensuring that classical knowledge survived the fall of the Western Roman Empire. These texts, along with Byzantine scholarship in theology and law, would later be rediscovered by Western Europe during the Renaissance, contributing to a revival of learning and intellectual growth. The Byzantine economy and the silk trade. The Byzantine Empire was a thriving center of commerce, benefiting from its strategic location at the crossroads of Europe and Asia. Constantinople became one of the wealthiest cities in the world, serving as a hub for trade routes that connected China, India, Persia, and the Mediterranean. Byzantine merchants traded in silk, spices, gold, and other luxury goods, amassing wealth that supported the empire's cultural and architectural projects. The Byzantines were also skilled in silk production, a closely guarded secret initially held by the Chinese. In the 6th century, Byzantine spies reportedly smuggled silkworms out of China, allowing the Byzantines to establish their own silk industry. This development reduced Byzantine dependence on Chinese silk and increased Constantinople's role in the lucrative silk trade, further bolstering the empire's economy. Military challenges and the Crusades. Throughout its history, the Byzantine Empire faced constant threats from external forces, including the Persians, Arabs, Slavs, and later the Seljuk Turks. The Byzantines employed various defensive strategies, including the use of Greek fire, a flammable weapon that was highly effective in naval battles. Despite these defenses, the empire struggled to maintain its territorial integrity as waves of invaders threatened its borders. In the 11th century, the Byzantines sought assistance from Western Europe to repel the Seljuk Turks, leading to the launch of the Crusades. Initially intended to aid the Byzantines, the Crusades eventually became a source of conflict between the Eastern and Western Christian worlds. The Fourth Crusade, 1202 and 1204, culminated in the sack of Constantinople by Crusader forces, a devastating event that weakened the Byzantine Empire and deepened the divide between Eastern Orthodoxy and Roman Catholicism. Following the sack of Constantinople, the Byzantine Empire fragmented, and several successor states emerged, including the Empire of Nicaea. In 1261, the Byzantines managed to recapture Constantinople, but the empire never fully recovered its former strength. Over the next 2 centuries, the empire faced increasing pressure from the Ottoman Turks, who gradually conquered Byzantine territories. The fall of Constantinople and the end of the Byzantine Empire. In 1453, after a prolonged siege, the Ottoman Turks, led by Sultan Mehmed II, captured Constantinople, marking the end of the Byzantine Empire. The fall of Constantinople was a pivotal moment in history, signaling the end of the medieval era and the beginning of the Ottoman Empire. The city was renamed Istanbul and became the capital of the Ottoman Empire, while the remaining Byzantine territories were absorbed into the Ottoman realm. The fall of Constantinople also marked a turning point for Europe. Many Greek scholars fled to the West, bringing with them classical manuscripts that contributed to the Renaissance. The migration of knowledge and ideas from Byzantium to Europe helped spark a revival of learning and culture that would shape the modern world. Legacy of the Byzantine Empire. The Byzantine Empire's legacy is profound and far-reaching. Its achievements in law, art, and religion influenced both Eastern and Western cultures, while its preservation of Greek and Roman knowledge ensured the survival of classical learning. The Justinian Code laid the foundation for modern legal systems, while Byzantine art and architecture inspired Orthodox Christian traditions across Eastern Europe. The Byzantine Empire also played a key role in shaping the religious landscape of Europe, as the Eastern Orthodox Church became a central force in Eastern Christianity. The empire's emphasis on education, scholarship, and cultural exchange contributed to the intellectual growth of Europe and set the stage for the Renaissance. Though the Byzantine Empire eventually fell, its influence endured, shaping the development of Western civilization and leaving a legacy that continues to resonate in modern history. As a bridge between East and West, the Byzantine Empire represents the endurance of human creativity, resilience, and the quest for knowledge. Chapter 10. The Ottoman Empire. The Rise of a Global Power. The Ottoman Empire, 1299–1922 CE, was one of history's most powerful and enduring empires, spanning 3 continents at its height and lasting over 6 centuries. Founded by Osman I in the late 13th century, the Ottoman Empire expanded from a small Turkish principality in Anatolia to a vast empire that encompassed Southeast Europe, the Middle East, North Africa, and parts of Eastern Europe. Known for its military prowess, diverse culture, and advancements in art, science, and architecture, the Ottoman Empire left a profound legacy that shaped the course of global history. The foundation of the Ottoman Empire and early expansion. The Ottoman Empire traces its origins to Osman I, a tribal leader who established a small principality in northwestern Anatolia around 1299. Osman and his successors took advantage of the weakening Byzantine Empire, gradually expanding their territory in the region. The Ottomans combined effective military tactics with a policy of tolerance toward conquered peoples, creating a reputation as fair and stable rulers. The early Ottoman state was marked by a spirit of Islamic zeal and military ambition, as well as a desire to expand into Europe and the Middle East. Osman's successors, particularly Orhan and Murad I, continued to expand the empire's borders, pushing into the Balkans and capturing key cities, including Adrianople, modern-day Edirne, which became the Ottoman capital. The Ottomans employed an elite military force known as the Janissaries, a corps of highly trained soldiers initially recruited through the Devshirme system, where young Christian boys from conquered territories were converted to Islam, trained as soldiers, and became loyal to the Sultan. The Ottomans achieved a significant victory in 1389 at the Battle of Kosovo, where they defeated a coalition of Balkan forces, consolidating their control over Southeast Europe. This expansion brought the Ottomans into direct conflict with neighboring Christian states and established them as a powerful force on Europe's eastern frontier. The conquest of Constantinople and the Golden Age of the Empire. One of the defining moments in Ottoman history came in 1453 with the conquest of Constantinople. Under the leadership of Sultan Mehmed II, also known as Mehmed the Conqueror, the Ottomans laid siege to Constantinople, the capital of the Byzantine Empire. Mehmed's use of advanced siege technology, including massive cannons, allowed him to breach the city's formidable walls. The fall of Constantinople marked the end of the Byzantine Empire and transformed the Ottomans into a dominant power in the eastern Mediterranean. Mehmed II declared Constantinople the new capital of the Ottoman Empire and renamed it Istanbul. He encouraged the settlement of diverse communities, including Muslims, Christians, and Jews, fostering a cosmopolitan society that reflected the empire's diversity. Mehmed also invested in rebuilding the city, constructing mosques, palaces, and public buildings that showcased Ottoman architectural innovation. Following Mehmed's reign, the Ottoman Empire continued to expand under Suleiman the Magnificent, 1520–1566, who is often regarded as the empire's greatest ruler. Under Suleiman, the Ottoman Empire reached its zenith, controlling a vast territory that stretched from Hungary in Europe to Yemen in the Arabian Peninsula, and from Algeria in North Africa to Mesopotamia in the east. Suleiman's reign marked the golden age of the Ottoman Empire, a period characterized by military success, legal reform, artistic achievement, and cultural flourishing. Legal and administrative reforms, the Kanun and the millet system. Suleiman was not only a military leader, but also a skilled administrator who sought to organize and unify the empire through legal and social reforms. He introduced a code of laws known as the Qanun, which complemented Islamic Sharia law and covered areas not explicitly addressed by religious law. The Qanun provided a standardized legal system across the empire, dealing with issues such as taxation, property rights, and trade, which helped maintain stability and fairness within the diverse Ottoman society. The Ottomans also implemented the millet system, a unique method of governance that allowed religious minorities to maintain a degree of autonomy. Each religious community, or millet, including Greek Orthodox Christians, Armenian Christians, and Jews, was allowed to govern itself according to its own laws and customs, provided it remained loyal to the Ottoman state. This policy fostered loyalty among the empire's diverse populations and helped reduce social tensions, allowing people of various faiths and ethnicities to coexist peacefully within the empire. Ottoman art, architecture, and science. The Ottoman Empire's golden age saw remarkable achievements in art, architecture, and science. Ottoman art was influenced by Islamic, Persian, and Byzantine traditions, resulting in a unique style characterized by intricate designs, calligraphy, and tile work. The Topkapi Palace, built by Mehmed II and expanded by his successors, served as the administrative and ceremonial center of the empire, and was adorned with beautiful gardens, courtyards, and artwork that reflected the opulence of the Ottoman court. Ottoman architecture reached its peak with the construction of grand mosques and public buildings by Mimar Sinan, the empire's most celebrated architect. Sinan's masterpieces, including the Süleymaniye Mosque in Istanbul and the Selimiye Mosque in Edirne, showcased innovative engineering techniques, elegant domes, and harmonious proportions. These structures remain iconic symbols of Ottoman art and design. The Ottomans also made significant contributions to science and medicine. Scholars and physicians in the Ottoman Empire advanced knowledge in fields such as astronomy, mathematics, and medicine, building upon the work of earlier Islamic scholars. Medical practices, such as the establishment of hospitals and the use of surgical techniques, were sophisticated for their time. Ottoman doctors were the region. Trade and economic prosperity. The Ottoman Empire's strategic location enabled it to control major trade routes between Europe, Asia, and Africa. Istanbul became a key hub for commerce, connecting the Silk Road to European markets and facilitating the flow of goods and technologies. The Ottomans traded in silk, coffees that supported the empire's administration, military, and cultural projects. The Ottomans also imposed taxes on trade passing through their territories, increasing their revenues and consolidating their control of national commerce. Coffee houses, where people gathered to socialize and discuss politics, these coffee spread where they became centers of intellectual exchange, challenges, and the decline of the empire. Despite its golden age, the Ottoman Empire began to face challenges by the 17th century. Military defeats, economic pressures, and administrative corruption weakened the empire's ability to maintain control over its vast territories. The Ottoman military, once formidable, struggled to keep pace with European advancements in technology and tactics, leading to a series of costly, including the Battle of Lepanto in 1571 and the failed siege of Vienna in 1683. The empire's economic structure also faced strain. As European powers began to establish direct sea routes to Asia, bypassing the traditional Ottoman-controlled land routes, the empire's revenue from trade declined. The discovery of the New World and the rise of European colonial empires shifted global trade patterns, reducing the Ottoman Empire's economic influence. By the 19th century, the Ottoman Empire was often referred to as the sick man of Europe, due to its weakened state. Internal uprisings, such as the Greek War of Independence, and increasing foreign influence further eroded the empire's power. The Tanzimat reforms, 1839-1876, sought to modernize the empire by introducing new administrative, military, and legal reforms. But these efforts were only partially successful in addressing the empire's decline. The fall of the Ottoman Empire and the legacy of World War I. World War I proved to be the final blow to the Ottoman Empire. The Ottomans joined the war on the side of the Central Powers, hoping to regain lost territories and strengthen their position. However, the war devastated the empire, leading to the loss of territories in the Middle East and the occupation of Istanbul by Allied forces. Following the war, the Treaty of Sèvres in 1920 dismantled the Ottoman Empire, reducing it to a small area around Istanbul. In 1922, the Ottoman Sultanate was officially abolished, and Mustafa Kemal Ataturk, a Turkish nationalist leader, established the Republic of Turkey. The transformation of the Ottoman Empire into modern Turkey marked the end of the last great Islamic empire and the beginning of a new era for the Turkish people. Legacy of the Ottoman Empire. The Ottoman Empire's legacy is vast and complex, influencing regions far beyond its former borders. The Ottoman legal, administrative, and architectural contributions shaped the development of modern Turkey and continue to influence countries across the Middle East, the Balkans, and North Africa. The millet system, with its emphasis on religious tolerance, provided a model for managing diversity in multi-ethnic societies. The Ottoman Empire also left a cultural legacy, with Ottoman art, music, and cuisine continuing to be celebrated today. The influence of Ottoman architecture is visible in the grand mosques, palaces, and public buildings found in former Ottoman territories. The spread of Ottoman art, literature, and philosophy contributed to a cultural exchange that enriched both the East and the West. As a bridge between Europe and Asia, the Ottoman Empire played a central role in the history of both regions. Its contributions to art, science, and governance continue to be remembered, serving as a testament to the achievements of a civilization that thrived at the crossroads of continents. The story of the Ottoman Empire reminds us of the complexities of empire, the importance of cultural exchange, and the resilience of human societies in the face of change. Chapter 11. The Mongol Empire, the largest land empire in history. The Mongol Empire, 1206-1368 CE, was the largest contiguous empire in history, stretching from the Sea of Japan to Eastern Europe at its peak. Founded by Genghis Khan, the Mongol Empire unified diverse cultures and created extensive trade networks that connected the East and West. Known for their military prowess, the Mongols conquered vast territories and facilitated cultural exchange, trade, and diplomacy across Eurasia. Despite their reputation as fierce warriors, the Mongols also promoted religious tolerance and innovation, leaving a complex legacy that reshaped the medieval world. The rise of Genghis Khan and the unification of the Mongol tribes. The story of the Mongol Empire begins with Temujin, who would later be known as Genghis Khan. Born into a nomadic family in the harsh steppes of Mongolia around 1162, Temujin's early life was marked by hardship and struggle. After his father's death, Temujin faced exile, betrayal, and poverty, yet he emerged as a resilient and charismatic leader. Through alliances, strategic marriages, and displays of military skill, he gradually gained followers and consolidated power among the various Mongol and Turkic tribes. In 1206, after uniting the Mongol tribes, Temujin was declared Genghis Khan, or universal ruler, by an assembly of tribal leaders. With a vision of expanding beyond the Mongolian steppes, Genghis Khan organized his people into a formidable military force, built on discipline, loyalty, and a deep understanding of mobility and warfare. The Mongol army was structured around the decimal system, where units were organized into groups of 10, 100, 1,000, and 10,000. This organization allowed for effective coordination and swift communication during campaigns. Genghis Khan's leadership transformed the Mongols from a collection of warring tribes into a united force with a shared identity and purpose. His focus on meritocracy allowed talented individuals from various backgrounds to rise through the ranks, creating a sense of loyalty and unity among his followers. With this army, Genghis Khan embarked on a series of conquests that would lay the foundation for the Mongol Empire. Military strategy and expansion. The Mongols were renowned for their military strategies, particularly their use of cavalry and archery. Mongol warriors were skilled horsemen, trained from a young age to ride and fight on horseback. Their ability to travel long distances quickly and strike with precision gave them a decisive advantage over more stationary armies. Mongol archers were highly accurate, able to shoot from a distance with deadly precision, even while riding at full speed. The Mongols also employed psychological warfare, spreading fear through intimidation and brutal tactics, which often led cities to surrender without a fight. Genghis Khan began his campaigns by attacking the Xia and Jin dynasties in northern China, securing valuable resources and wealth. He then turned his attention westward, targeting the Khwarezmian Empire in Central Asia. When the Khwarezmian ruler betrayed a Mongol diplomatic mission, Genghis Khan responded with a full-scale invasion, devastating the Khwarezmian cities and incorporating the territory into the Mongol Empire. The conquest of Central Asia opened new trade routes and expanded Mongol influence westward. By the time of his death in 1227, Genghis Khan had conquered vast territories across Central Asia and northern China. His empire was divided among his sons, who continued to expand Mongol territory. Under Ogedei Khan, Genghis Khan's third son, the Mongols captured Persia, Kievan Rus, parts of modern Russia, Ukraine, and Belarus, and extended their reach into Eastern Europe, reaching as far as Hungary and Poland. Kublai Khan and the Yuan dynasty. The Mongol Empire reached its greatest extent under Kublai Khan, Genghis Khan's grandson, who focused on consolidating power in China. In 1271, Kublai Khan established the Yuan dynasty in China, becoming the first non-Chinese emperor to rule the entire country. He relocated the Mongol capital to Dadu, modern-day Beijing, and adopted aspects of Chinese governance, supporting Confucian traditions while maintaining Mongol customs. Kublai Khan's rule marked a period of prosperity and cultural exchange in China. He promoted trade along the Silk Road and encouraged foreign travelers to visit his court, including the famous Venetian merchant Marco Polo, whose accounts of his travels introduced Europeans to the wealth and grandeur of the Yuan court. Kublai Khan also supported the development of infrastructure, including roads, canals, and postal stations, to improve communication and trade within the empire. While Kublai Khan's rule brought stability to China, his efforts to expand into Southeast Asia and Japan were less successful. The Mongols launched two invasions of Japan in 1274 and 1281, both of which were thwarted by storms, known in Japanese as kamikaze or divine wind. Despite these setbacks, Kublai Khan's reign marked a peak in the cultural and economic integration of China with the rest of the Mongol Empire. Trade and the Pax Mongolica. The Mongol Empire facilitated a period of peace and stability known as the Pax Mongolica, or Mongol Peace, which lasted from the mid-13th century to the mid-14th century. During this time, the Mongols protected and encouraged trade along the Silk Road, allowing goods, people, and ideas to flow freely across Asia and into Europe. The Pax Mongolica created a safe environment for merchants, travelers, and scholars, fostering an unprecedented level of cultural exchange between East and West. The Mongols continued technology, knowledge, and innovations across their empire. Chinese inventions such as gunpowder, paper, and the compass reached the Islamic world and Europe, transforming warfare, navigation, and communication. The Mongols also facilitated the spread of religious ideas, allowing Buddhists, Christians, Muslims, and others to practice their faiths openly. This religious tolerance helped integrate the diverse peoples of the empire and fostered a cosmopolitan society where knowledge and culture flourished. However, the Mongol Empire also inadvertently facilitated the spread of the Black Death, which traveled along trade routes and devastated populations across Asia, Europe, and the Middle East in the 14th century. The epidemic weakened the Mongol Empire and disrupted trade, contributing to the empire's gradual decline. Governance and religious tolerance. The Mongols adopted a pragmatic approach to governance, respecting the customs and beliefs of the people they ruled. Genghis Khan's legal code, known as the Yasa, established a framework for justice that emphasized loyalty, honesty, and respect for authority. The Mongols appointed local leaders to administer conquered regions and allowed religious freedom, believing that a diverse and inclusive society would be more stable. Religious tolerance was a hallmark of the Mongol Empire. While Genghis Khan and many of his successors were adherents of Tengrism, a shamanistic faith, they respected other religions and often sought to learn from them. The empire welcomed Muslim scholars, Christian missionaries, and Buddhist monks, creating a unique environment where diverse faiths coexisted. This tolerance allowed the Mongols to maintain control over a vast and multi-ethnic empire, earning the loyalty of their subjects and promoting unity. The fragmentation and decline of the Mongol Empire. Following the death of Genghis Khan, the Mongol Empire was divided among his descendants into several khanates, each governed by a different branch of his family. These khanates included the Golden Horde in Russia, the Ilkhanate in Persia, the Chagatai Khanate in Central Asia, and the Yuan dynasty in China. While the khanates initially cooperated, rivalry and conflict between them eventually led to fragmentation. The decline of the Mongol Empire was accelerated by internal divisions, economic challenges, and external pressures. In China, the Yuan dynasty faced growing resistance from the native population, culminating in the rise of the Ming dynasty in 1368, which expelled the Mongols from China. The Ilkhanate in Persia dissolved due to political instability, and the Golden Horde gradually lost control over its territories in Russia. By the late 14th century, the Mongol Empire had largely disintegrated, although the legacy of Mongol rule persisted in the political, cultural, and economic changes they had introduced across Eurasia. The remnants of the empire continued to influence regional politics, and the Mongols' innovations in warfare, governance, and trade left a lasting impact on the civilizations they encountered. Legacy of the Mongol Empire. The legacy of the Mongol Empire is complex and multifaceted. The Mongols are remembered for their military conquests and their reputation for brutality. Yet they also created one of history's most prosperous and interconnected societies. The Pax Mongolica fostered trade, cultural exchange, and the spread of knowledge across Eurasia, bridging East and West in a way that had never been seen before. The Mongol Empire's contributions to governance, including its emphasis on meritocracy, religious tolerance, and local administration, influenced later empires and demonstrated the effectiveness of a multi-ethnic and multi-religious state. The Mongols' use of military tactics, such as the integration of diverse ethnic groups into a professional army and the adaptation of new technologies, reshaped the nature of warfare and had a lasting influence on military strategy. The Mongols also played a pivotal role in the diffusion of technology, ideas, and religions. Their openness to cultural exchange introduced innovations such as paper and gunpowder to Europe, and their religious tolerance allowed Buddhism, Islam, and Christianity to coexist, creating a unique environment of spiritual pluralism. The story of the Mongol Empire is a testament to the transformative power of human ambition and adaptability. Though their empire eventually dissolved, the Mongols left an enduring legacy that reshaped the medieval world and influenced the development of civilizations across Asia, the Middle East, and Europe. Chapter 12. The British Empire, the empire on which the sun never set. The British Empire, 16th and 20th centuries, was the largest empire in history, spanning territories across every inhabited continent and encompassing nearly a quarter of the world's population at its peak. Known as the Empire on which the sun never set, the British Empire influenced global trade, politics, culture, and technology, shaping the modern world in profound ways. Driven by exploration, commerce, and military might, the British Empire introduced the English language, legal systems, and cultural practices to distant lands, while leaving a legacy marked by both achievements and controversies. The early days of exploration and the Age of Discovery. The origins of the British Empire can be traced to the Age of Discovery in the late 15th and early 16th centuries, when European nations sought new trade routes and territories. Inspired by the explorations of Christopher Columbus and Vasco da Gama, English sailors began embarking on voyages across the Atlantic. Key figures in this era included John Cabot, who explored the coast of Newfoundland in 1497, marking one of England's earliest claims in the New World. The 16th century also saw the rise of English privateers and pirates, such as Francis Drake, who harassed Spanish ships and explored the Americas. With the support of Queen Elizabeth I, English explorers sought new lands and trading, competing with Spain, Portugal, and France for dominance. England's victory over the Spanish Armada in 1588 marked a turning point, establishing England as a major maritime power and paving the way for future colonial ambitions. The establishment of colonies and the birth of global trade. In the early 17th century, England established its first permanent colony in the Americas at Jamestown, Virginia, 1607, followed by the Plymouth colony in Massachusetts, 1620. These settlements marked the beginning of England's expansion into the New World, where it would establish 13 colonies along the eastern coast of North America. The British East India Company, founded in 1600, played a pivotal role in expanding British influence in Asia, establishing trading posts and securing commercial rights in India and Southeast Asia. The British Empire's involvement in the Atlantic slave trade began in the 17th century, as British merchants transported enslaved Africans to work on plantations in the Caribbean and the American colonies. The triangular trade between Britain, Africa, and the Americas generated immense wealth for British merchants and fueled the empire's growth. However, this trade also contributed to unimaginable suffering, with millions of Africans subjected to brutal conditions in slavery. During this period, British colonies became vital sources of raw materials and wealth, particularly in sugar, tobacco, and cotton. Britain's maritime power enabled it to dominate global trade routes, establishing a commercial empire that connected markets from the Americas to Asia. This vast network of trade and colonies formed the backbone of the British Empire, transforming Britain into one of the world's wealthiest nations. The rise of British India and the jewel in the crown. By the 18th century, the British Empire's focus shifted to India, which would become the jewel in the crown of British colonial possessions. Through the British East India Company, Britain gradually extended its influence over the Indian subcontinent, initially through trade and later through military conquest. The company's private army, along with alliances with local rulers, enabled it to dominate much of India, effectively ruling large territories by the mid-18th century. The Battle of Plassey in 1757 marked a decisive victory for the British East India Company over the Nawab of Bengal, establishing British dominance in eastern India. Over the next century, the company expanded its control using diplomacy, alliances, and force to consolidate power. Following the Indian Rebellion of 1857, also known as the Sepoy Mutiny, the British government dissolved the East India Company and took direct control of India, establishing the British Raj in 1858. Under British rule, India became a key supplier of raw materials such as cotton, tea, and opium, which fueled British industry and trade. The British invested in infrastructure, building railways, telegraphs, and roads, but colonial rule also brought economic exploitation, cultural suppression, and widespread poverty. The impact of British rule on India was complex, with lasting effects on its economy, society, and identity. The expansion into Africa and the scramble for territory. The 19th century marked a period of intense expansion for the British Empire, particularly in Africa. Motivated by economic interests, strategic concerns, and a sense of racial and cultural superiority, European powers competed for control of Africa in what became known as the Scramble for Africa. The Berlin Conference of 1884 and 1885 formalized this process, dividing the continent among European nations without regard for the existing cultures and societies of African peoples. The British established colonies and protectorates across Africa, including Egypt, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and South Africa. British involvement in Egypt began with the construction of the Suez Canal, a vital waterway that connected the Mediterranean to the Red Sea, providing a shorter route to India and Asia. Control of the Suez Canal allowed Britain to protect its interests in India and maintain its status as a global power. In South Africa, the British engaged in conflicts with the Boers, Dutch settlers, over control of land and resources, leading to the Boer Wars, 1880–1881 and 1899–1902. These wars resulted in British control of South Africa and access to its valuable diamond and gold mines. However, British policies in Africa often disregarded the rights and welfare of local populations, contributing to social and economic inequalities that would have lasting consequences. The spread of British culture and influence. The British Empire's global reach spread the English language, British legal systems, and cultural practices across its colonies. British missionaries, educators, and officials promoted Western values, Christianity, and English education, leaving a lasting cultural legacy in former colonies. English became a lingua franca in many regions, facilitating communication and trade, and remains an official language in numerous former British colonies today. The British legal system was introduced in many colonies, with British common law influencing legal traditions in countries such as India, Canada, Australia, and parts of Africa. British education systems, universities, and civil service structures also left their mark, creating an educated elite in colonial societies that would later lead independence movements. However, British cultural influence was not always welcomed, as it often involved the suppression of local traditions, languages, and religions. Colonial policies sometimes fueled resentment, laying the groundwork for nationalist movements and resistance against British rule. Challenges and the decline of the empire. By the early 20th century, the British Empire faced increasing challenges. World War I placed a tremendous strain on Britain's resources, while nationalist movements in colonies such as India, Ireland, and Egypt demanded greater autonomy or independence. The Indian independence movement, led by figures such as Mahatma Gandhi, used nonviolent resistance to challenge British rule, ultimately leading to India's independence in 1947. World War II further weakened Britain's global influence. The economic toll of the war, combined with rising demands for independence, accelerated the decline of the British Empire. In the post-war era, Britain's leaders recognized the inevitability of decolonization, leading to the independence of former colonies across Asia, Africa, and the Caribbean. The Suez Crisis of 1956 underscored Britain's diminished power, signaling an end to its imperial dominance. The independence of India in 1947 was a watershed moment, followed by the independence of African nations, Caribbean islands, and Pacific territories. By the 1960s, the British Empire had largely dissolved, replaced by the Commonwealth of Nations, a voluntary association of former colonies. Legacy of the British Empire. The legacy of the British Empire is complex and far-reaching, shaping the modern world in profound ways. The empire introduced the English language, legal systems, and parliamentary institutions to diverse regions, leaving an enduring impact on governance and culture. Many former colonies retain close ties with Britain through the Commonwealth, fostering cooperation in areas such as trade, education, and international relations. The British Empire's contributions to global trade, infrastructure, and science facilitated advancements that transformed economies and societies. However, the empire's legacy is also marked by exploitation, social inequality, and cultural suppression. Colonial policies often disrupted traditional societies, imposed racial hierarchies, and exploited resources for the benefit of Britain, leading to lasting challenges in post-colonial societies. The story of the British Empire reflects both the achievements and contradictions of imperialism, highlighting the impact of power and ambition on human history. The legacy of the British Empire serves as a reminder of the complexities of empire building, inspiring reflection on issues of governance, cultural exchange, and the pursuit of justice in a globalized world. Chapter 13. The Rise of the United States as a Global Superpower. The United States emerged as a global superpower in the 20th century, reshaping the world order and becoming a leading force in international politics, economics, science, and culture. While the foundations of American influence were laid in the 19th century, it was the two world wars and the Cold War that solidified the U.S. as a dominant force on the global stage. From its role in promoting democracy and capitalism to its advancements in technology and culture, the United States profoundly impacted modern society, shaping global norms and fostering an era of unprecedented influence. The early foundations and expansion of the United States. The United States' journey to superpower status began with its territorial expansion across North America during the 19th century, through events such as the Louisiana Purchase, 1803, the Mexican-American War, 1846 to 1848, and the annexation of territories that would become Western states. The doctrine of manifest destiny, the belief that Americans were destined to expand across the continent, drove this expansion, often at the expense of indigenous populations and neighboring nations. The Civil War, 1861-1865, was a defining conflict that solidified the unity of the United States, ending slavery and reinforcing federal authority. Following the Civil War, America's Industrial Revolution transformed it into a major economic power, marked by rapid industrialization, the growth of cities, and the rise of influential corporations. By the turn of the 20th century, the United States was an industrial powerhouse with a growing influence on the world stage. World War I and America's entry into global politics. The United States' entry into World War I in 1917 marked its first major involvement in European affairs. Led by President Woodrow Wilson, the U.S. joined the Allies in their fight against the Central Powers, contributing crucial military and economic support that helped turn the tide of the war. Following the conflict, Wilson championed the creation of the League of Nations, an international organization aimed at maintaining peace. Although the U.S. Senate ultimately rejected joining the League, America's involvement in World War I signaled a new era of global engagement. In the post-war years, the U.S. embraced a period of isolationism, focusing on domestic growth and economic prosperity. The 1920s saw a cultural and economic boom, but this prosperity was short-lived. The Great Depression of the 1930s caused widespread economic hardship, leading to new social policies and reforms under President Franklin D. Roosevelt's New Deal. Although the Great Depression impacted the United States severely, it also laid the foundation for social and economic reforms that would strengthen the country's resilience. World War II and the rise of American power. World War II was the catalyst that transformed the United States into a global superpower. After the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor in December 1941, the U.S. joined the Allies against the Axis powers, Germany, Italy, and Japan. American industrial might and technological innovation fueled the war effort, as the U.S. became the arsenal of democracy, producing weapons, vehicles, and supplies for the Allied forces. Major scientific breakthroughs, including the development of the atomic bomb under the Manhattan Project, showcased American technological prowess. The United States' contributions to the defeat of the Axis powers in both Europe and the Pacific cemented its position as a leader on the world stage. Following the war, the U.S. played a crucial role in shaping the post-war order, advocating for democracy, economic stability, and international cooperation. The establishment of the United Nations, UN, with its headquarters in New York, symbolized America's commitment to global leadership. The U.S. also spearheaded the Marshall Plan, a program to rebuild war-torn Europe, which fostered economic recovery and strengthened ties with Western Europe. The Cold War and the fight against communism. The end of World War II marked the beginning of the Cold War, a period of intense ideological rivalry between the United States and the Soviet Union. The U.S. championed capitalism and democracy, while the Soviet Union promoted communism and state control. This ideological divide shaped American foreign policy for nearly half a century, as the U.S. sought to contain the spread of communism through alliances, aid programs, and, at times, military intervention. The Truman Doctrine, articulated by President Harry S. Truman in 1947, established a policy of containment, pledging American support for countries resisting communism. This led to U.S. involvement in various regions, including the Korean War, 1950–1953, and the Vietnam War, 1955–1975, both of which were fought to prevent communist expansion in Asia. Although the Vietnam War was controversial and divisive within the U.S., the broader strategy of containment remained central to American foreign policy. The Cold War also spurred the space race and arms race between the U.S. and the Soviet Union. The launch of Sputnik by the Soviet Union in 1957 prompted the United States to accelerate its space program, ultimately leading to the Apollo 11 mission in 1969, when American astronauts landed on the Moon. This achievement symbolized American scientific and technological supremacy and marked a turning point in the space race. Economic dominance and the globalization of American culture. During the Cold War, the United States solidified its position as the world's leading economic power. American corporations expanded globally, introducing products like Coca-Cola, McDonald's, and Levi's jeans to international markets. Hollywood films, jazz music, and television shows spread American culture worldwide, making the United States a cultural icon. The U.S. also led in technological innovation, particularly in the fields of computing and telecommunications, with companies like IBM, Hewlett-Packard, and later Apple and Microsoft becoming global leaders. In the 1980s, President Ronald Reagan's policies emphasized free market capitalism, reducing government regulation, and promoting economic growth. Reagan's defense buildup and confrontational stance toward the Soviet Union, including the Strategic Defense Initiative, often called Star Wars, played a role in increasing pressure on the Soviet economy. The combination of economic dominance and cultural influence in the United States as a model of prosperity and freedom for many around the world. The end of the Cold War and America's unipolar moment. The Cold War came to an end with the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991, leaving the United States as the world's sole superpower. This period, known as America's unipolar moment, saw the U.S. promoting democratic values and market economies worldwide. The North American Free Trade Agreement, NAFTA, signed in 1994, and the World Trade Organization, WTO, reflected America's commitment to free trade and economic globalization. The United States also played a leading role in international interventions, such as the Gulf War in 1991, which aimed to expel Iraqi forces from Kuwait. The success of this operation demonstrated America's military superiority and its commitment to stability in the Middle East. The 1990s were marked by a sense of optimism, with the spread of democracy and capitalism seen as pathways to global peace and prosperity. The War on Terror and America in the 21st Century. The September 11, 2001 terrorist attacks on the World Trade Center and the Pentagon profoundly changed American foreign policy. In response, President George W. Bush declared a war on terror and launched invasions of Afghanistan, 2001, and Iraq, 2003, to dismantle terrorist networks and remove hostile regimes. The wars in Afghanistan and Iraq highlighted the complexities of modern warfare, as the U.S. grappled with insurgencies and challenges in nation-building. The War on Terror strained American resources and raised questions about the limits of U.S. power, as the protracted conflict